The moment the wooden sword appeared, the blood river and demonic chi lost their color. Shwa! Endless wood element energy of heaven and earth appeared from nowhere. The wooden sword's light was dull and it pierced towards the demon emperor's chest. Not good. The demon emperor was shocked. As if he was extremely afraid of the wooden sword's power, another demonic arm grew out from under his armpit. It held another white bone in its hand and hurriedly used it to block in front of him. Chi! The wooden sword seemingly calmly touched the white bone. Suddenly, the white bone emitted a jade-green light. Within the light, layers of flesh and blood bloomed like lotuses. Then, a sage-like cultivator stood up from the flesh and blood. Behind the cultivator, hundreds of figures of men and women flashed. Then pa-pa-pa. A series of crisp sounds rang out. It was like bamboo exploding in a fire. The light was extinguished and the white bone was broken inch by inch. Even the demonic arm of the demon emperor was broken. The demonic chi on the demonic arm also exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Damn it! The demon emperor cursed. His entire demonic arm suddenly broke off from his body. Pa-pa-pa. In an instant, the demonic arm exploded into hundreds of pieces. However, what caught Lu Wuxia off guard was at the moment the demonic arm appeared, the nearby demonic chi and blood river rushed in again. Ayo ayo. In an instant, the hundreds of demonic arms turned into hundreds of demon kings with demonic chi, pouncing towards Lu Wuxia. Compared to Lu Wuxia's soundless drizzle, Xiao Hua's attack was earth-shattering. The demon emperor's bone spear flew up and collided with Xiao Hua's domain. The space within 1,000 li seemed to have been hit by a giant hand, shaking violently. With a thunderous roar that was not inferior to thunder, the blood river was torn apart, the demonic chi was torn apart, and countless demon kings were also turned into dust. Compared to the previous probing, the real battle between the man and the demon emperor caused both of them to be on guard. Looking at the sharpness of the space within 1,000 li, Xiao Hua's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Whoa! Several mu of zhenqi gushed out again, crashing into the void. At this time, the void was even more complicated than a maze, but under the guidance of Xiao Hua's divine sense, the giant hand easily found the demon emperor's position. Dang! Xiao Hua roared. His zhenqi rushed out of the void, turning into a fist and smashing towards the demon emperor's heart. Xiao Hua's divine ability, which was similar to the hand of a nascent soul, was a fusion of Taoist magic and the innate energy of a Confucian cultivator. As soon as his fist landed, the devilish flame around the devil emperor's body was extinguished, and the devilish energy was blown away. In the blink of an eye, the fist hit the thousands of dark devilish runes in the devil emperor's heart. At this time, the devil emperor had just broken his devil arm and had yet to recover from his shock. What he didn't expect was that Xiao Hua's hand would be able to cross the shattered void and attack him. Boom! The fist landed, and the space around the devil emperor's body was sealed. Thousands of devil runes scattered in the air, and the fist smashed into the devil emperor's chest while the devil emperor was dumbfounded. Even a wave of awe-inspiring chi condensed into a crystal thread and crazily crashed into the demon emperor's body. Haha! Demon emperor! Demon emperor! Xiao Hua sneered, raising his head and roaring. You're only... Then, Xiao Hua's body suddenly leaned forward and turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing into the broken void. The void was also strangely divided into two halves by the lightning. Waves of heaven and earth yuan qi and awe-inspiring qi madly converged into the torrent of lightning. After a few breaths, the lightning appeared above the demon emperor's head. At this time, the demon emperor was urging the bloodlight and demonic flames around him to rush out, trying his best to resist the awe-inspiring crystal thread. Seeing the lightning about to hit him, he was shocked. Go to hell! Xiao Hua's angry roar came out from the lightning. It was like a thunderbolt from the ninth heaven. The lightning turned into a spear and directly stabbed into the demon emperor's head. The demon emperor's shoulders grew several demonic arms to block the attack. Those demonic weapons wanted to knock the lightning away, but the demonic weapons and arms were more or less turned into rotten wood under the lightning. Boom! The lightning spear pierced through the demon emperor's body. An earth-shattering explosion sounded, flipping over thousands of miles of space. Lu Wuxia, who had just activated her magic treasure to kill hundreds of demon kings, had an indescribable look of surprise in her eyes. She quickly rushed to the edge of the blood array. The demon emperor had fallen, and the entire blood array was collapsing. Countless demons wailed, and their bodies exploded like flies. Humph! Xiao Hua's figure appeared in the sky above where the Devil Emperor had exploded like a thunder god. He methodically withdrew his divine sense and coldly snorted with disdain. The Devil Emperor is only a... ouch, not good. It was also at this time that Xiao Hua suddenly felt that something was wrong. It wasn't like he hadn't fought the Demon Emperor before. The Demon Emperor's strength was unparalleled, and although his divine ability could match the Demon Emperor's, without the help of the scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua, the soul cultivator Xiao Hua, and Buddha Bodhi, there was no way he could kill the Demon Emperor. It had only been a dozen or so years, and although he had tempered his Tao heart in the heavenly demon illusion, his strength had improved after the reconstruction of his profound energy, but it should have been impossible for him to improve to this extent. The difference in strength between the two demon emperors couldn't be that big. When he thought up to this point, Xiao Hua suddenly thought of the zombie devil race that Yun Che had mentioned. It was a race that could easily wipe out an entire sect with a single devil sovereign. Lightning appeared on his body again, and he hastily opened his delusion breaker eye. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua woke up too late. His body had just moved when an indescribable pain immediately appeared on his back. He couldn't help but howl as the feeling of his soul being burned directly. However, between life and death, how could Xiao Hua dare to be negligent? The true energy in his body surged, and his entire body shot forward. He didn't care whether he could teleport or not in the space lock. The tricolored spiritual fire gushed out like a flood and swept out behind him. Oh! An incomparably ethereal voice came from behind Xiao Hua. This voice sounded like thunder in Xiao Hua's ears. Even when Xiao Hua was teleporting, countless streams of light flashed in front of his eyes. The scene of him killing the Demon Emperor turned into images and shattered in these streams of light. Illusion! Illusion! Motherfucker, this Xiao has fallen into the devil race's trap again. Xiao Hua couldn't help but howl madly in his heart. When did the devil race become more cunning than the dragon race? How could Xiao Hua not understand at this point? It wasn't just a single devil emperor that had surrounded the Misty School. The devil race was planning to eliminate the entire Misty School in one fell swoop. And this time, two devil emperors had come. The devil emperor he was facing had attracted his and Lu Wuxia's attention, and the other zombie devil emperor was hiding in the void, preparing to assassinate them. Chapter 4140. Of course, the two demon emperors were planning to kill Lu Wuxia in a short period of time and exterminate the Misty School. They were planning to retreat before the conference hall could send their troops over. Xiao Hua even felt that if he hadn't visited the Misty School, the two demon emperors would have pursued Lu Wuxia to the Shindao sect after she was killed by the two demon emperors, putting the false and the real in place. This kind of brilliant strategy, Xiao Hua admitted that he absolutely could not do it. After consuming nearly half of his true essence to activate the spirit fire, Xiao Hua was finally able to extricate himself from a hopeless situation. When he reappeared in midair, he saw Lu Wuxia brandishing her magic treasure to kill a group of devils. Moreover, with a wave of her hand, a disc-shaped magic treasure flew out from her Sumeru ring and transformed into a huge ring to protect herself. Xiao Hua staggered in midair and tried his best to stabilize himself. His back, which was several hundred feet wide, was full of bloody marks. These marks were like demons, crazily devouring Xiao Hua's flesh. Between the bloody marks, there were slightly glowing demon patterns that flashed from time to time. Xiao Hua urged his Xiantian Zhan Yuan to fight against the demon blood and demon patterns. At the same time, he was thinking about whether he should use his own demon qi. However, seeing that the strange demon patterns and his Xiantian Zhan Yuan were equally matched, and he could only stop the demon patterns from invading his bloodline, he knew that the demon patterns were of a higher level than his demon qi. If he used his demon qi, he would probably end up in a situation where he had to save himself. Xiao Hua slowly turned around, his eyes filled with anger. This was the second time he fell into the illusion of the demon race in the ruins. Speaking of which, it was really embarrassing. However, when he turned around and saw everything in front of him, Xiao Hua's anger dissipated a little. Standing in midair was a human figure that was several hundred feet tall. This human figure was different from ordinary cultivators. It had 2 heads and 4 arms. Facing Xiao Hua was a very simple face with 2 slanted eyebrows and a pair of starry eyes. The 4 arms were holding 4 strange magical weapons. The 2 strange people's bodies emitted a dark gold color, and strange runes were engraved in this dark gold color. From this rune, Xiao Hua felt an indescribable primordial aura. When Xiao Hua saw this strange person, he immediately thought of the three-headed and six-armed celestial in his space. At this moment, the strange man's body was being burned by the tricolored spirit fire. The strange man's nose spewed out a dual-colored glow, and when the glow entered the spirit fire, it caused the spirit fire to burn even more fiercely. Seeing that the runes on the strange man's body were about to melt in the spirit fire, the strange man punched himself in the chest. Demonic chi surged as demonic blood landed on the spirit fire. Sizzle! With a violent sound, the spirit fire suddenly dimmed, but immediately after, the strange man's body burned even faster, and the spirit fire lit up again. Whoa! A gust of wind that was even louder than the demonic drum sounded from the top of the monster's head. Immediately, a blood shadow spurted out. The blood river and demonic chi happily rushed into the blood shadow. A blood cocoon that looked like a worm appeared in the air. This blood cocoon was constantly shaking, and from time to time, demonic heads would pop out from the blood cocoon. However, the blood cocoon did not have a fixed shape. Xiao Hua's gaze landed on the blood cocoon. A demonic chi that was even more powerful than the previous demonic emperor was emitting from the blood. Needless to say, this blood cocoon was definitely another demonic emperor. Xiao Hua clenched his teeth. He circulated his Zhen Qi to resist the demonic Qi on his back as he thought of a way to defeat the enemy. The two-headed four-armed zombie that had just been tossed aside by the zombie sovereign had also gradually melted into a copper-colored liquid that was being absorbed by the spirit flames. Kakaka! At this moment, the demonic emperor that had one of its legs chopped off by Xiao Hua, but had actually dodged Xiao Hua's attacks during the battle, laughed coldly. Its bloodthirsty demonic Qi swept past Xiao Hua and landed on Lu Wuxia. Then, it raised its demonic arms and flapped its wings. Several spatial rifts that looked like spatial storms appeared and thousands of black demonic balls shot towards Lu Wuxia. When Lu Wuxia saw that the demonic emperor was attacking her alone, a look of desperation appeared on her face. She opened her mouth and a green light the size of a fist flew out. It was a flat seed that landed in the air. Lu Wuxia then slapped the top of her head and her Zhen Qi surged into the sky. When the Zhen Qi returned to the ground, her body expanded rapidly. At the same time, she rubbed her hands together and fist-sized crystals fell into the seed. Then, she started chanting and a powerful Qi rushed into the seed as well. A green light that was as bright as the sun shone from the seed. Lu Wuxia chanted, "The beginning of life, the beginning of power, the heaven and earth are righteous, the gods and demons are without evil." Boom! Another surge of energy that was hidden in the river gushed out from the ground. It pierced through heaven and earth and landed on the seed that was now 100 mu in size. Lu Wuxia slowly raised her hands as if she was really pushing the sun. Whoa! The seed made a whimpering sound as it flew towards the Demon King's spatial storm. Every inch the seed flew forward, the green light would grow by 1 foot. When it collided with the Demon King's attack, the green light had already turned into a vine that was tens of thousands of feet long. It swept towards the spatial storm that could tear everything apart. After the seed, Lu Wuxia raised her hand and the tree branch magic treasure transformed into a wooden sword that was thousands of feet long. Countless strange flowers and plants bloomed on the blade of the wooden sword. Another rumbling sound rang out and Lu Wuxia's body began to glow. A Yuan spirit projection emerged from her body and landed outside of her body. It waved the wooden sword and stabbed towards the demonic emperor's heart. Lu Wuxia and the demonic emperor were locked in battle. Xiao Hua also moved because he could see that many zombie cultivators had appeared near the space where the demonic emperor was. These zombie cultivators were either in human form or beast form. There were even many that were half human and half beast. These zombies had tough bodies and were much more powerful than the demonic emperor from before. The stalemate between the Misty School and the demonic emperor was broken in an instant. Xiao Hua knew that he couldn't delay any longer. If he couldn't kill the demonic emperor, then the demonic emperor behind him would kill Lu Wuxia. Without Lu Wuxia, not only would the Misty School be destroyed by the demonic emperor, even he might not be able to escape from the encirclement of 2 demonic emperors. However, before Xiao Hua could fly a few li, the demonic emperor's body suddenly shone with a bloody light. A body that was thousands of feet long appeared in the air. This body wasn't humanoid. It had 3 arms and 2 legs, and it didn't have a head. Each of the 3 arms held a demonic spear, a demonic hammer, and a demonic shield. On the surface of the body, just like the shell of the 4 arms, there were also faint golden runes. The aura of desolation came from these runes. Damn it, How many celestial bodies did this demonic emperor take care of? Xiao Hua cursed inwardly. He raised his hand and activated the Kunlun mirror. However, just as the light from the Kunlun mirror flew out, the demonic emperor's blood-stained body flashed in the air and entered the headless body. The demonic emperor's aura suddenly surged and a pitch-black demonic chi appeared on the demonic shield, blocking the light from the Kunlun mirror. Boom! More than half of the demonic chi on the demonic shield was destroyed. However, after the demonic chi disappeared, strange patterns appeared. These patterns were either spinning or trembling. Although the light from the Kunlun mirror rushed into the weak spots of the patterns, in front of these patterns, the light from the Kunlun mirror was clearly weak and powerless. It actually couldn't break through the demonic shield. This is bad. Seeing how powerful the demonic shield was, Xiaohua couldn't help but feel that things were not good. After all, this headless demonic emperor was holding 3 demonic weapons. If he couldn't break through this demonic shield, then wouldn't the other 2 be as powerful as this demonic shield? Although his Kunlun mirror had been refined to the spiritual treasure realm, compared to these unknown weapons from the upper realm, there was still a gap. Seeing that the Kunlun mirror was useless, Xiaohua didn't hesitate to point his finger again. Shua! The Tengjiao shears flashed in the air and shot towards the demonic emperor. Goga! The demonic emperor didn't know where the sound came from. The demonic weapon in one of its hands was raised in the air. A similarly dazzling golden spear roared and soared into the sky. The previously torn space was once again pierced through by this demonic spear. Ka! The Tengjiao shears landed on the demonic weapon. The 2 golden lights were annihilated at the same time. Moreover, within the spear shadow, a thin pitch-black demonic chi was born. This demonic chi was like a hibernating viper. Before it could awaken, it was cut in half by the Tengjiao shears. Even though the demonic chi was removed from the golden spear, although it was still as strong as before, on the body of the spear, a thin crack extended from the tip to the end of the spear. It was neatly cut in half. A fox borrowing the tiger's might. Xiao Hua looked at the demonic emperor like a tiger facing a hedgehog. He didn't know how to attack. Whether it was the demonic shield or the demonic spear, it was not the demonic emperor's own divine ability that blocked Xiao Hua's divine ability. Hee hee. A loud voice sounded from the demonic emperor. Taoist Master Xiao, don't worry. I will let you see this emperor's ability. Then let's do it now. Xiao Hua roared and put away the Kunlun mirror and the Tengjiao shears. His whole body turned into a thunderbolt and rushed into the broken space, taking out the wishful staff. Boom. Where the wishful staff fell, the unstable void shook. The demonic emperor was not afraid. The demonic hammer and demonic spear danced and fought with Xiao Hua's wishful staff. At this time, Xiao Hua's wishful staff was very different from before. Although it had not really broken away from the 5 elements, every time it danced, it set off a kind of spatial power. Where the wind rose, the staff's shadow was heavy. Within hundreds of miles, it was filled with a murderous aura. The demonic spear, demonic hammer, and demonic shield in the hands of the demonic emperor were also very orderly. In the face of Xiao Hua's storm-like attacks, the demonic spear responded, the demonic hammer struck, and even the demonic shield defended. The moves were also very clever and orderly. Chapter 41-41. Not good. This bastard's intention is to delay this Xiao. Xiao Hua saw that the demon emperor was very cautious in his attacks, and that Lu Wuxia was at a disadvantage in the battle with the other demon emperor. He immediately understood the plan of the 2 demon emperors. He wants to wait for the other demon emperor to kill Lu Wuxia and then deal with this Xiao together. No, I must make the first move. Xiao Hua made up his mind and his figure got closer. The attack of the wishful steel staff increased by a few points. Seeing that he was close to the demon emperor, Xiao Hua's left hand loosened, and the staff was transferred to his right hand. However, the staff still struck down like a mountain. But just as Xiao Hua was about to take out his trump card, the headless celestial zombie's chest suddenly overflowed with an obscure fluctuation. This fluctuation was very strange, and in an instant, it enveloped an area of 1,000 li, as if it completely ignored the distance between them. Xiao Hua, who was closing in on the demon emperor, was naturally within this range. Pa 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 pa. There were thousands of other zombies within this 1,000 li, but after the fluctuation passed, these zombies exploded, and clouds of blood mist flew out from these zombies, which did not have any blood essence, and turned into different phantoms that fell around the headless celestial zombie. Looking at Xueqi again, there was a cluster of fine dust in front of him, as if space had been shattered. Then, Xueqi only felt the blood vessels in his body suddenly tighten, as if a big hand had grabbed his blood vessels out of thin air. Then, his whole blood vessels began to burn, and not only did the blood flow speed up, but the blood vessels also began to go berserk, causing Xueqi's body to swell and explode. A blood vessel phantom was born in Xueqi's body, and it struggled with all its might, trying to break free from the shackles of his body and blood vessels. Damn it, this is blood power? Sensing the slightly familiar power, Xueqi was slightly taken aback, and then, he was greatly alarmed. At the same time, the demonic qi that Xueqi had previously used his Xiantianzhen qi to resist once again started to wreak havoc. It was as if thousands of bloodthirsty demons were madly gnawing at Xueqi's body, trying their best to break through the blockade of Xueqi's Xiantianzhen qi, and merge with Xueqi's almost boiling blood phantom. Is this the legendary pincer attack? Xueqi sneered and charged towards the headless celestial zombie. Green light flashed between his eyebrows and tens of thousands of soul strands fell into Xueqi's body. Tiny green seal characters also flew into Xueqi's blood vessels. Xueqi's blood vessels gradually calmed down and the blood vessels phantom also quickly disappeared. Not only that, but the green seal text also emitted a ghostly chanting sound. The indescribable ripples traveled back to where the previous ripples had come from, quickly transcending space and landing on the Deva zombie. Green light flashed, and the strange magical symbols on the Deva zombie's body shattered. Then, thumb-sized bubbles burst out of its fleshly body. These bubbles were blocked by the runes on the surface of its body, but the bubbles rose and fell in many places, making the celestial zombie look like a toad. A vague shadow floated up from the bubbles. The shadow was as anxious as a suffocating creature that had just escaped from deep water. Human. You. How do you know how to swallow blood and control essence? The headless celestial zombie let out a thunderous sound, and there was a lot of surprise in its voice. Boom. At this time, the wishful steel staff collided with the demonic spear, and the force of the collision rose again. Xueqi's Dharma body only shook slightly. With a wave of his left hand, the demonic slaughter blade was waiting for an opportunity to attack, and Xueqi's golden body began to emit wisps of black gas. Whoa! A fierce wind whistling sound suddenly appeared at this time. Xueqi was stunned and sent out his divine sense. He saw that the demon emperor, who was originally rushing towards Lu Wuxia, had abandoned Xueqi. The space around the huge demonic body was extremely distorted, and with a flash of light and darkness, the demon emperor had already appeared above Xueqi's head. Hundreds of white bone claws stretched out from the demonic body and rushed towards Xueqi's back. The spread of the demonic wings set off a monstrous amount of demonic qi that turned into countless arrows that also shot towards Xueqi's back. Damn it! It turns out that this demon emperor is proficient in spatial magic. Xueqi's divine sense swept out and was actually killed by these white bones and demonic qi arrows. Seeing that the demon emperor ignored thousands of miles of space and squeezed out of the void, how could he not know that this was a trick of two demon emperors? Now his strength was not even comparable to one demon emperor, and under the attack of two demon emperors, he was afraid that he would not be able to hold on for long. However, Xueqi was shocked and sneered, secretly thinking, if you two demon emperors attacked Lu Wuxia at the same time, I'm afraid you would really succeed. But if you use these methods to bully this Xiao, you will go for wool and come home shorn. Just as he was thinking, the headless celestial zombie cooperated with the other demon emperor, and the celestial body suddenly elongated. At the same time, the demonic shield was raised to block the wishful steel staff, and the demonic spear and hammer pierced through the sky, falling in the direction that Xueqi had to hide. Woo-woo. Xueqi's eyes narrowed slightly, and immediately tens of thousands of small whirlwinds appeared around his body. Not only was the surrounding blood river attracted by these whirlwinds, but also a large amount of demonic qi was sucked in. Xueqi's body was surrounded by a demonic helmet unique to ordinary demons. Seeing that Xueqi had actually turned into a demon, the two demon emperors were slightly stunned. They naturally knew that Xueqi had a demon spirit around him, but they did not expect that Xueqi could use demonic arts. Moreover, in the face of the headless celestial zombie in front of him and the mountain-like white bones of the demon emperor behind him, Xueqi was as steady as a rock. He waved his left hand steadily. Shwa. First, it was like nibbling mulberry leaves, extremely subtle, and then it was like a small bridge, sweetly entering the ear. When the blade light like a horse appeared in front of the headless celestial zombie, the monstrous demonic flame had already rushed out from the demonic blade like a stormy sea towards the demon emperor. Boom! In the wild roar, all the blood-red and demonic chi were overshadowed by this demonic blade. Kill! Kill! This is the demonic blade kill. The headless celestial zombie faced the demonic blade directly. He was most aware of the aura of the demonic blade that could kill him. He could not help but shout wildly, "Where did you get this thing? Which demon emperor are you?" Unfortunately, Xueqi could answer his question. The demonic blade was like the wind, and the demonic flame was like a tidal wave. Boom! As the demonic spear and the demonic hammer were chopped into two halves, even half of the headless celestial zombie's body turned yellow and white inch by inch. In the end, it turned into white bones and fell out of thin air. What was special was that the phantom of the demon emperor was withdrawn from the white bones where the demonic blade passed. Ayo! The demon emperor struggled to escape, and a blood shadow fell into the demonic blade. When the blood shadow was withdrawn, the demon emperor's blood shadow had already disappeared in the void. This demon emperor's escape technique was not inferior to Xueqi's in the slightest. Ka. At the same time Xueqi injured the demon emperor, the space behind Xueqi was shattered by the other demon emperor's white bones. The demonic chi on Xueqi's back suddenly surged, and half of his body was torn apart by the white bones. Xueqi's demonic body trembled madly again, and his demonic chi surged madly. Xueqi suddenly turned his head, his blood-red eyes filled with anger. He was clear in his heart that his profound chi had just been replenished, and it was really not good for him to use the demonic blade too much. However, this demon emperor was really hateful. He had schemed against him time and time again. If he did not teach him a lesson, Xueqi would not be reconciled. Place me in the land of death and then live. Xueqi clenched his teeth. Whoa. The demonic wave rose again, surging violently towards the thousands of white bones. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Like the sound of mountains collapsing and the earth splitting, these white bones collapsed incomparably under the demonic blade. Damn it! Xueqi actually has the demonic blade kill. Tesque. You actually did not explain it to this emperor. When this emperor returns, this emperor will definitely not let you off. The demon emperor originally wanted to sneak attack Xueqi and seize the opportunity to obtain the demonic blade. However, when he saw how powerful the demonic blade was, which was even more powerful than he had imagined, the demon emperor howled in grief. He spread his wings, and his demonic body flew back into the void. Although the demonic chi of the demonic blade was crazily devouring the demonic arm and other things that the demon emperor had abandoned, it still rushed into the void to pursue the demon emperor. Lu Wuxia was somewhat dumbfounded as she watched everything that was happening in front of her. Her eyes were filled with profound meaning as she looked at Xueqi's uncontrollable demonic body in midair. She somewhat did not know what to do. However, just as she was in a daze, a demonic palm suddenly reached out from the void. The demon emperor's strange voice rang out. Damn it, if I can't kill Xueqi, I have to kill Lu Wuxia no matter what. Otherwise, where will this emperor put his face? The demon emperor's sneak attack was too sudden. Lu Wuxia did not expect the demon emperor to have the heart to attack her after being defeated by Xueqi. Her expression changed greatly, and she hurriedly activated her magic treasure to block. Boom! Space shattered as the demonic palm pressed against Lu Wuxia's towering chest. Lu Wuxia's delicate body trembled, and she hurriedly retreated like duckweed. At the same time, a green beam of light descended from her magic treasure, smashing the demonic palm into pieces. The beam of light even chased after the demonic palm and surged towards the demon emperor. Unfortunately, the demon emperor's laughter rang out. His voice had already reached the demonic array. When the space exploded, the demon emperor's demonic arm appeared in the void. It was just a lone demonic arm. The demon emperor had already fled. Damn it! How could Lu Wuxia not know that she had fallen into the demon emperor's trap again? However, her figure flickered twice, and after teleporting towards the demonic array, she reappeared in midair. Her originally delicate face had turned pale. Her strength was originally not comparable to the demon emperor. Even if the demon emperor was injured by Xueqi, she was still not his match. Even if she chased after him now, what could she do? Lu Wuxia cursed angrily. Her divine sense swept out, and she hurriedly searched for Xueqi. Ayo! Tao Master Xiao. Lu Wuxia's divine sense swept through the demonic array, but Xiao Hua's figure was nowhere to be found. She unconsciously turned pale with fright. Because just before she was injured by the demon emperor, she saw Xiao Hua's demonic saber swing. Although the demonic arm of the demon emperor was destroyed, Xiao Hua's body was filled with demonic qi, and he was sent flying by the backlash of the demonic arm. But now, Xiao Hua's figure had disappeared like a falling leaf. No matter how Lu Wuxia used her divine sense to search, there was no trace of him. Chapter 41-42. What's going on? Lu Wuxia circulated her cultivation to suppress her injuries as she flew towards the Misty School's defensive formation. How could Daoist Xiao have the devil saber? How could he cultivate a devil technique? Could it be he's a devil? I remember that a cultivator had sent a message saying that there were traces of devils in the fortune gate. Could it be that there's a great scheme behind this? How is this possible? Lu Wuxia was confused and frightened. She suddenly stopped because the two groups of devils that were attacking the Misty School's defensive formation had begun to retreat. The first to disappear was the zombie devil clan. They had already flown away when Lu Wuxia stopped in midair. At this time, the devils that were attacking the Earth Clan's soul condensing formation and heart-cleansing winnowing basket array had also slowed down their attacks. Many of them had disappeared into the void. Lu Wuxia heaved a long sigh of relief. She understood that her Misty School had avoided a calamity. The two devil emperors were injured by Xiao Hua's devil saber and did not dare to continue fighting. They had also given up on their plan to exterminate the Misty School. However, her relief only lasted for a moment before she was filled with doubts. If Xiao Hua is a human, how could he control the devil saber? Even if he could control the devil saber, how could he injure two devil emperors in one move? How could he be so strong? If the devil saber is powerful, then how could Xiao Hua control the devil saber that even devil emperors are afraid of? This Xiao Hua, where did he come from? Could it be that he's also a devil emperor? But he's not on the same side as these two devil emperors. At the same time, Lu Wuxia narrowed her eyes and took out a pill from her spatial ring. She watched as the demons retreated, and the river of blood began to flow in reverse within the black demonic array. When the river of blood finally disappeared, the demonic energy within the demonic array turned into demonic clouds that floated in the air. A bright moon appeared in the middle of the demonic clouds, and the moonlight sprinkled down like water. The moonlight fell on Lu Wuxia's body, and also on the Earth Clan's soul consolidating formation. The Earth Clan's soul consolidating formation of the Misty sect did not fall down because of the retreat of the demons. Instead, some disciples flew out from the protection of the Earth Clan's soul consolidating formation and patrolled the area. Several young men and women flew out and arrived beside Lu Wuxia. They bowed and said, "Sect Master." Lu Wuxia retracted her gaze from the moonlight and looked at them. "You all saw it?" The few men and women looked at each other and exchanged glances. Naturally, they understood what Lu Wuxia was asking. They replied in unison, reporting to sect leader, "We can all see it clearly." "What do you all think, this?" The group of cultivators hesitated, not daring to speak casually. "Tell me," Lu Wuxia ordered. Everyone looked at the man in front of them. The man hesitated for a moment and said, "I'm very conflicted. I can't tell the truth of the matter, and I don't know if there's a bigger conspiracy behind it. After all, no matter what Daoist Zhao's background is, no matter if he's a devil or not, his arrival saved our Misty School. If it weren't for him today, the Misty School wouldn't have been so simple." "Not necessarily," a woman hurriedly said. "With Sect Master's divine ability and the sect-protecting formation of our Misty School, not to mention 2 devil emperors, even 3 devil emperors wouldn't be able to do anything to our Misty School." "That's right," a woman also shouted. "Xiao Hua should be a spy for the devil emperors. They have a bigger conspiracy and might use it as an opportunity to destroy our ruins. Junior Sisterine, you're too big-breasted and brainless." A man with a yellow face and bloodstains all over his body said coldly. If Daoist Xiao is a spy, when he entered our Misty School, he had plenty of chances to sneak attack Sect Master. Besides, if he's a devil emperor, why did he risk his life to protect our Misty School? My ethereal sect was already on the brink of destruction. If the 2 devil emperors just slightly urged the devil race to attack, the Earth Soul condensing formation would definitely collapse. Senior brother Zhou, what do you mean? Junior sister Yin said angrily. Could it be that you're also a spy for the devil race? Take a look. Xiao Hua used the devil saber and already transformed into a devil body. Even if Taoist Xiao is a devil, he's still a devil god protecting us human cultivators. Senior brother Zhou shouted. When have you ever seen a human protecting a pig? Junior sister Yin sneered. Don't forget that we humans are food for the devil race. Sigh, shut up. Lu Wuxie sighed. Vice Sect Master Lien, I was seriously injured in the fight with the Devil Emperor. Right now, I need to go into seclusion to recuperate. You'll be in charge of the sect's affairs for now. If there's anything difficult to deal with, you can report to me. Yes, this subordinate obeys. The man in front bowed. However, a moment later, he asked in a low voice, about Xiao Hua. Things will come to light eventually. Lu Wuxie's face showed a sense of helplessness. She waved her hand and said, I'll just do my own thing. I won't listen, I won't believe, and I won't spread the news. Yes, this subordinate understands. Vice Sect Master Lien nodded. This subordinate will contact the conference hall and explain what happened here. Do as you wish. Lu Wuxie's figure flashed and disappeared in midair. However, her voice remained in the distance. I need to go into seclusion. Respectfully see you off, Sect Master. I hope you'll be able to come out of seclusion soon. The group of male and female cultivators bowed. After Lu Wuxie left, Vice Sect Master Lien hesitated for a moment. He looked around and asked, Did you see where Xiao Hua went? Senior brother Lien. Several people shook their heads. In the end, the cultivator surnamed Zhou opened his mouth and said, At that time, this disciple was fighting against an enemy. However, Taoist Zhao's attack was truly awe-inspiring. When this disciple killed that zombie, I also saw Taoist Zhao's demonic body. However, after that, demonic energy surged and the blood river became chaotic. As for where Taoist Xiao went, I don't know. Two great demon emperors attacked him from both sides. Vice Sect Master Lien shook his head regretfully. Even if Xiao Hua was a celestial with 3 heads and 6 arms, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to survive. Humph. This was originally a trap. Xiao Hua naturally left with the demon race. The big-breasted but brainless junior sister Yin jumped out and shouted again. Unfortunately, this time, no one echoed her. Lu Wuxie had already left. Who would want to show off too much? Besides, no one knew whether Xiao Hua was a demon or not. If there was some kind of conspiracy, Xiao Hua wouldn't have escaped with the 2 demon emperors. After all, the demon saber had clearly wounded the 2 demon emperors when it had been activated. The dozen or so Misty School cultivators discussed for a moment. They waited for the demon formation in the sky to slowly disperse. The rich and fresh world's origin chi madly swept in, gradually blowing away the blood and killing intent within a radius of 10,000 li. In this life and death battle, countless human cultivators had died. Similarly, the number of demon race cultivators who died in Ping River was also extremely high. However, the Misty School had finally survived the most critical moment. With the descent of the starlight, all signs of life were reborn. The Earth Soul condensing formation and winnowing basket heart cleansing formation didn't immediately disperse. Instead, with the influx of world's origin chi, they became even more powerful. More than 10 fortresses were entangled by water dragons, cruising thousands of li away. Seeing this, the dozen or so Misty School cultivators flew to various places under the command of Vice Head Lien. The entire Misty School gradually returned to normal order. As for Xiao Hua, his situation was far worse than what these Misty School cultivators had expected. Xiao Hua didn't know the origin of the demon saber, but he was very clear in his heart. When the 3 demon emperors saw the demon saber, their expressions all changed. Even the heavenly demon coveted this demon saber. How could the origin of this demon saber be simple? Moreover, every time Xiao Hua activated the demon saber, he would be devoured by the demonic nature within the demon saber. This demonic nature was a great supplement to the demon race, but it was also a great harm to the human race. Therefore, with the existence of the demon spirit Xiao Hua in Xiao Hua's body, every time the demonic nature devoured him, Xiao Hua would deliberately guide it into the demon spirit Xiao Hua's body to eliminate the effects on himself. But even so, what kind of demon saber was a demon weapon? How could a simple guide method eliminate the demonic nature? Although the demon spirit Xueqi could obtain the majority of the demonic nature, the demonic nature that was harmful to the human race was still engraved in Xueqi's heart. Xueqi himself said that every time he activated the demon saber, he would be a bit further away from the human world. Therefore, unless Xueqi had no other choice, he would never use the demon saber. Even if he used the demon saber, he would only let the demon spirit Xueqi activate it. He would never interfere. When he was training in the folded jadeite forgotten land of the Dragon Island, Xueqi coincidentally borrowed the power of the Dragon Domain to reconstruct his Tao realm. His Tao heart was also cleansed. It seemed like the demonic marks from before had already been eliminated, but the demonic nature in his heart had not completely disappeared. Ever since he arrived at the ruins, Xueqi had already brandished the demon saber several times. Especially when he escaped from the heavenly demon's fantasy land, he brandished the demon saber twice in a row when his profound qi was almost exhausted. At that time, the demon spirit Xueqi and the other doppelgangers were separated from Xueqi's body. The backlash from brandishing the demon saber twice was like a carving knife that engraved the demonic marks in Xueqi's heart. Therefore, after Xueqi escaped, he immediately went into seclusion. He wanted to find a remedy from the heavenly demon's profound qi. And this time, when Xueqi visited the Misty School, he once again encountered the two demon emperors joining hands to destroy the Misty School. Helpless, Xueqi brandished the demon saber again. These two attacks were admittedly injuring the demon emperors, but the damage to Xueqi's heart was not any lighter than the two demon emperors. Furthermore, the counterattack of the demon emperor, who had the white bone demon arm and the innate space ability, after the white bone demon arm was destroyed, stimulated the demonic nature in Xueqi's heart. Xueqi's heavenly embodiment Earth Golden Body was quickly withdrawn. At the same time, his entire body drifted like a fallen leaf. The demon blood armor condensed from demonic qi absorbed the demonic blood and demonic flame from the demonic qi in the blood river of the demon race. Xueqi even unconsciously took out the two demon hammers. Chapter 41-43. At this moment, the demon emperor did not have the time to look carefully. Otherwise, he would have definitely noticed Xueqi's abnormality. Unfortunately, other than wanting to plot against Lu Wuxia, the demon emperor was also extremely embarrassed and angry. As a human, Xueqi could use the demon saber murder. However, if he was prepared, the demon saber murder would not have caused such a huge injury to him. Furthermore, if he was prepared, he could join forces with the other zombie race's demon emperor to snatch the demon saber murder from Xueqi's hands. Of course, this was on the premise that he knew that the demon saber murder was in Xueqi's hands. The problem was that although Xueqi used the demon saber murder in the battle against the demon race, the demon emperor did not tell this demon emperor about the demon saber murder. At this moment, the demon emperor immediately escaped into the void after injuring Lu Wuxia. He roared in his mind, "Huang Qian, what's going on? How did the demon saber murder appear in the ruins? How did this human cultivator activate it?" Huang Qian was the name of the zombie race. Emperor was the title of the demon race's demon emperor. At this moment, Huang Qian was also fleeing in panic. Hearing the demon emperor's question, he also angrily said, "Huang Qian, what you asked is also what this emperor wants to know. Don't forget that this emperor has suffered even more than you. Your demon saber murder directly slashed this emperor's body. Truly hateful. If not for this human sneak attack, how could this emperor be injured? Today's matter was originally planned properly. How did the demon saber murder appear in the Misty School's Ping River? If this is the case, our plan, won't it be delayed again? We've been trapped in the ruins for a long time. I'm afraid we'll attract the attention of other demon formations and the human race." The demon emperor Huang Qian became even more furious. If he had a trace of vigilance, he would not have allowed Xueqi to attack him like this. Huang Qian coldly said, "Huang Qian, don't ask this emperor. When we return to the demon formation, you'd better ask Huang Qian of the Qiujia race. He was the first to meet Xueqi, and he even fought with Xueqi. He did not gain any advantage over Xueqi. I think he was also injured by the demon saber murder. However, he did not tell you and me about it." "Damn Huang Qian." Huang Ke sneered. "It's not that he doesn't want to tell us. He wants to hide it on purpose. He wants to obtain this devil blade murder." Why do you need to say such thoughts out loud? Huang Chong sneered. No one is a fool. Could it be that you want to ask him about this? Humph. Huang Yu snorted coldly. He knew that he had fallen into Huang Yu's trap. However, Huang Yu was right. He would never tell the Devil Emperor that he had been injured by the Devil Blade murder, nor would he go and settle the score with Huang Yu. The two Devil Emperors removed the demonic array and retreated out of Ping River. The group of devils that were attacking the Misty School inside the demonic array also retreated. The demonic array was the same as the Earth Soul Condensing Array of the Misty School. Although it was removed, it did not disappear. Instead, it slowly faded into the void. The demonic chi formed a strange demonic chi passage in the space, guiding the devils to retreat along with it. As for Xiao Hua, because he was waving the demonic hammer in his hand, the demonic chi on his devil body was also poured into the demonic array. Therefore, when his mind was controlled by the devil, his entire devil body also fell into the passage along with the demonic chi, retreating along with thousands of ordinary devil generals. Although Xiao Hua's devil body did not have particularly obvious bone spurs or devil wings, the genuine demonic chi and devil flames were enough to confuse all devils below the level of Devil Emperor. Xiao Hua's devil body fell into the demonic chi passage. The entire passage was several li wide. Inside the passage, the demonic chi slowly rotated in one direction. In the middle of the revolving demonic chi, there were wisps of blood swimming. After flying along the passage for several hours, the passage widened again. At the same time, the demonic chi became thinner. From time to time, the demonic chi would rush into the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. The earth, fire, wind, and lightning destroyed a part of the demonic chi, but the demonic chi seemed to be endless, repairing the passage from time to time. When the earth, fire, wind, and lightning rushed in, they brought along some of the power of the stars and the moon. When the power of the stars and the moon fell into Xiao Hua's devil body, it let out a low rumbling sound. Gradually, the demonic nature in Xiao Hua's mind began to fade, and Xiao Hua slowly woke up. Looking at the demonic chi passage near him, and then looking at the devil armor on his body, Xiao Hua very easily recalled what had happened before. At this moment, Xiao Hua's mind was attacked by the demonic nature, and his body was destroyed by the Devil Emperor. He was at the most vulnerable point. If he forcibly broke through, it would inevitably attract the attention of the Devil Emperor, and bring about a fatal disaster. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Hua simply urged the demonic chi to cover his own aura, and continued to move along the demonic chi passage. After a while, the heavy pressure in the demonic chi passage gradually increased. The demonic chi around the devils in front of Xiao Hua began to rotate strangely. Like a cocoon, more than 10 tentacles stretched out. These tentacles fell on the demonic chi passage, and the rotating demonic chi brought these devils into the depths of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. Seeing this, Xiao Hua naturally followed suit, and also hung his body on the demonic chi passage. However, in merely an hour, Xiao Hua suddenly felt his body lighten, and the power of the stars and the moon in the demonic chi passage became rich again. Xiao Hua slowly absorbed the power of the stars and the moon, and was somewhat puzzled. Why is there such rich power of the stars and the moon in the earth, fire, wind, and lightning? However, without much time to think, the demonic chi passage in front of him suddenly disappeared, and Xiao Hua's figure actually fell outside the passage. When Xiao Hua's devil sense swept over, his complexion changed again. A kind of shock emerged from the bottom of his heart. He saw that this was a huge net-shaped blood array. The huge blood array was connected between hundreds of millions of blood balls, and those densely packed blood balls were one blood array after another. Countless devils were wantonly going in and out of the blood balls. And under this blood array, there was another layer of earth, fire, wind, and lightning that resisted the roaring demonic chi. This demonic array was so big, not only was Xiao Hua unable to see the edge with his naked eyes, even his devil sense was unable to probe the end. What was special was that the devil sense in this blood array was chaotic, like a bustling market in the mortal world. Xiao Hua's devil sense was not released far, and was immediately blocked by other valiant devil senses. However, it was only a short distance, and Xiao Hua also sensed the intense confinement power in the demonic array. Xiao Hua knew that even if he released his divine sense, it would probably not be able to pass through this demonic array. Damn it! Isn't this the demonic array that this Xiao saw when he accidentally entered the ruins? Could it be that this Xiao has already rushed outside the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the ruins along with the devil race's demonic array? Xiaohua suddenly understood, and almost jumped up. Could it be that the earth, fire, wind and lightning of the ruins is so thin, and just relying on the devil race's devil race to break through? Thinking back, this Xiao was in the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the hidden immortal continent, but even after risking his life, he was still unable to escape from two Confucian cultivators. Yes, it might be like this. Xiaohua pondered for a bit, and then thought again. The ruins is a star, the earth, fire, wind, and lightning around it is relatively thin, and the three continents are continent. The continent is boundless, the earth, fire, wind, and lightning are unavoidably powerful, and can prevent the cultivators within the continent from leaving the continent. And the ruins is a sphere, the land within the ruins is a whole, the heaven and earth origin energy also flows differently in the entire sphere, forming a kind of cycle. The entire ruins is a relatively perfect composition, so the earth, fire, wind, and lightning appear to be somewhat thin. Thinking of this, Xiaohua couldn't continue thinking about it. This was because below Xiaohua, the other areas of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning were continuously surging with waves of fire like rising tides. Not only did they cover the earth, fire, wind, and lightning, but even some of the net-like demonic formation was destroyed by these waves of fire. This is the defensive array set up by the cultivators of the ruins. Xiaohua understood. After carefully looking at it for a moment, he sighed again. This array can keep the devil race out of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning of the ruins, but it cannot completely protect the entire ruins. There are many flaws in it, so it is difficult to prevent the Devil Emperor from leading the devil race to sneak attack the cultivators of the ruins. Of course, the ruins is indeed the cultivation world of the upper realm. Dao sect cultivators at the 9th stage Dao transformation realm can set up a great array that can protect the entire planet. However, according to my understanding of the cultivators in the ruins, this great array might not have been set up by the current cultivators of the ruins. It might have been set up by the seniors of these cultivators. Their cultivation level should have exceeded the 9th stage Dao transformation realm. After looking at the great array of the ruins, Xiaohua focused his attention on the demonic array. In addition to the enormous blood flowing through many blood balls, the demonic qi and demonic flames flying out of the blood balls and blood balls were also present. After the demonic qi and demonic flames flew out, they fell into the void and disappeared. At the place where the demonic qi and demonic flames disappeared, some devil race troops either returned or disappeared. Alas, this demonic array is really big, and the power of this demonic array is far from what I can understand. Not only does this demonic array seal the outer layer of the ruins, but it also seals the void of the ruins. All the teleportation arrays are ineffective. Xiaohua looked at the solemn demonic formation and couldn't help but sigh. This is definitely not something that can be easily set up by 20 demon emperors. Even if all of my avatars are here, I'm afraid I still won't be able to destroy this demonic formation. The siege of the ruins is really difficult to break. Oh, and from my previous experience, the cultivators of the ruins originally had the home field advantage. However, with this demonic array, the cultivators of the ruins can't be sent away. The demonic array can also be used to teleport to any place in the ruins. This home field advantage has already fallen into the hands of the devil race. In this kind of situation, how can the human race win? While Xiaohua was thinking, the troop of devil race troops he was in moved again, flying towards the blood flow in the distance. Chapter 41-44. Seeing this, Xiaohua was overjoyed. Waiting for the devil to generate a suction force, he hastily moved his body and used the blood-dripping paradise to rush into the bloodstream. Boom! With a loud sound, Xiaohua crashed into the bloodstream. After entering and seeing everything in front of him, Xiaohua couldn't help but be shocked. He saw that this was a blood-colored space, which was much bigger than what he saw from the outside. Furthermore, this blood-red space was divided into a dozen or so levels, each of which was transparent. On each level, there were extremely many demons who were obediently staying there, either lying down or standing up. Below each level, there was a torrential river of blood flowing in all directions. And the place where Xiaohua landed was also a stream of blood. The devil qi and devil flame on Xiaohua's body fell into the blood river, and an even purer devil qi and devil flame fell back into Xiaohua's body. Unfortunately, at this time, the devil spirit Xiaohua was not in Xiaohua's body. Xiaohua didn't dare to absorb too much of the devil qi and devil flame here. He quietly used the blood-dripping paradise to block the devil qi and devil flame outside his body. At the same time, he also used the cultivation method in his body to quietly suppress the injuries caused by the two devil emperors. At this moment, Xiaohua was surrounded by different devil clan members. Bloody light surged around the bodies of these devil clan members. Clearly, they were absorbing the blood energy from this blood river to recover the damage they had suffered when fighting against the Misty Sex formation. After moving forward like this for less than half an hour, a huge whirlpool appeared in front of him. It was like a big mouth that swallowed all the devils who fell into the whirlpool. Xiaohua slightly frowned. Hiding behind the devil armor, he looked at this whirlpool with a trace of vigilance in his heart. Unfortunately, at this time, Xiaohua didn't have any other choice except to adapt to the situation. Xiaohua rushed into the whirlpool along with the current. After a muffled sound, a fierce killing intent immediately appeared in front of him. Xiaohua didn't hesitate to swing his devil hammer. Pooh! With a loud sound, a devil general unexpectedly appeared in front of Xiaohua. That devil monarch also held a wolf-tooth club-like devil tool and hit Xiaohua's devil hammer. Roar! Seeing that his devil tool was blocked by Xiaohua, the devil general roared and once again swung his devil tool to attack. Xiaohua was somewhat puzzled. He thought that he had been seen through by the devil race, so he hurriedly waved his devil hammer to fight. But after fighting for a while, Xiaohua discovered that there were hundreds of demon generals waving their demon artifacts all around him. He was just one of them. Ayo! What's going on? Xiaohua hurriedly released his devilish sense, wanting to take a look. Unfortunately, within this blood-colored space, his devilish sense was confined and could not leave his body. Xiaohua fought with the demon general for a while, and when he saw an opportunity, he smashed the demon general's head into smithereens. Whoa! Xiaohua had just won when another lump of blood appeared on top of his head. Then, Xiaohua's figure was sucked into the blood once again. When he opened his eyes again, he was in another layer of the blood-red space, and an even more powerful demon general appeared before him. Motherfucker, I understand now. After killing 3 demon generals in succession, Xiaohua entered 3 different blood-red spaces. Moreover, these 3 demon generals were each more powerful than the other. Xiaohua suddenly realized, this is a way for the devil race to gain experience. They are actually training their own warriors at the same time they are surrounding the ruins. Although Xiaohua cultivated devil techniques, he was not familiar with the habits of the devil race. His understanding of the devil race was also obtained from Zhang Qingxiao's jade slip. Zhang Qingxiao himself had never been to the devil world, and his jade slip was also obtained from other devil race. Therefore, in Xiaohua's mind, he had always thought that the devil race was the kind of mighty and powerful people. However, the Battle of the Ruins allowed him to understand a lot. Those devil monarchs were each more cunning than the other. Of course, their power was pale and powerless in front of Xiaohua's absolute strength. However, when Xiaohua faced the devil monarchs, Xiaohua finally experienced the power of these devil monarch schemes. Looking at the devil formation that surrounded the ruins, although it was just a glimpse of the leopard, Xiaohua was also alarmed. He was secretly worried for himself and all the cultivators in the ruins. Xiaohua easily killed several devils. Then, he saw a strand of blood-red crystal thread emerging from the space above. Xiaohua's gaze fell on it, and he could faintly see the image of several wailing devils in the crystal thread. Weren't they the devils that Xiaohua had killed before? This crystal thread fell and flew directly towards Xiaohua's head, scaring him into hastily dodging. At this moment, how could he not know that this blood-red crystal thread contained the essence blood of several devils? Unfortunately, he only dodged for a moment, and powerful blood qi surged in the surroundings, blocking his figure. Even the entire blood-red space was shaking. Xiaohua had no choice but to stop. Devil qi overflowed from the surface of his body, and his mind tightly stuck to the edge of the devil qi. When that blood-red crystal thread fell into the devil qi, just as it moved along with the devil qi, his mind immediately absorbed that crystal thread into the space. Jade Archive Xiaohua was afraid that this crystal thread would have some strange changes, and followed it into the space. Fortunately, just as that blood-red crystal thread was about to transform into the space, the bloodstains spread out. Jade Archive Xiaohua made another move and condensed it into a crystal bead the size of a mung bean in his palm. Within this crystal bead, Several devils were crazily wailing, looking extremely mournful. After storing this crystal bead, Jade Archive Xiaohua hurriedly escaped from the space. He thought that he had already sensed that his physical body was sucked away by the bloodstains in the blood-red space, and his figure once again fell into another stream of blood. Xiaohua's mind returned to its original position, and he looked at the blood around him in bewilderment. This time, the blood was different from before. It completely annihilated Xiaohua's devil body. Moreover, many tentacles grew out from the devil blood and connected with Xiaohua's devil armor. Strands of devil blood flowed into the devil armor, and should be replenishing the deficiency of the devil armor. Damn it! Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this moment, he really regretted letting Devil Spirit Xiaohua follow Dragon Vein Xiaohua and the others to the Snow/Gate. If Devil Spirit Xiaohua was by his side, not only would he not be in such a difficult situation when facing the Devil Emperor, but at this moment, everything in this devil array was really a great supplement for Devil Spirit Xiaohua. Xiaohua's eyes turned, and he released his mind again, guiding the devil blood into his space. However, this time, Xiaohua was not in a hurry to let Jade Archive Xiaohua enter the space. Instead, he confined the devil blood in a small space, and let the devil blood spread out. This time, the flow of blood was very long. Xiaohua flowed with the devil blood for almost an hour before it stopped. Moreover, the moment the flow of blood stopped, devil qi immediately gushed out from the passage, enveloping Xiaohua, and dragged him in a certain direction. The devil qi was filled with the power of confinement, and with the strength of a devil general, it was impossible to break free. The devil qi turned into a rolling image, and Xiaohua's figure rushed out of the passage in this devil qi. However, when he came out of the passage, Xiaohua's figure actually fell into the vague void. After a simple teleportation, Xiaohua's eyes flashed, and his figure appeared in a corner of the devil array again. Just as Xiaohua stood still in the demonic array, he saw that within 100 li to his left, swish swish swish, demonic qi spurted out from the void one after another as more and more demonic generals appeared. These devil generals either had devil wings on their backs, white bones on their bodies, or devil horns on their foreheads. There were even some that looked like devil beasts. Xiaohua merely swept his gaze over these devil generals, and his heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly raised his head and saw several tall devil generals holding palm-sized devil banners, standing majestically in the air. These devil generals had devil horns on their heads, wings on their backs, and a layer of scales covering their bodies. These scales had strange devil runes on them. Xiaohua's gaze swept over these devil generals, and his gaze fell on one of them. Although Xiaohua couldn't tell the difference between this devil general and the other devil generals, he could clearly feel that this devil general was the ordinary devil general he had met when he led the Fortune Gate's disciples to the southwest border to rescue the White Cloud Monastery and the other 10 sects. His grandmother. Xiaohua looked at this devil general in bewilderment. What's going on? How do I know this devil general? When Xiaohua looked at this devil general, that devil general also sensed Xiaohua's gaze. He lowered his head to look at Xiaohua, and his gaze swept over the other devil generals that had appeared. Xiaohua didn't dare to look any longer, and his gaze also swept over the other devil generals near this devil general. Very clearly, the familiar feeling from before didn't appear again, and the devil banners in the hands of these devil generals flickered with a faint blood-red light, enveloping the surrounding space. Xiaohua's gaze moved away from the devil generals, and he looked into the distance. He saw a huge blood sphere that looked like a cocoon blocking his path. This blood sphere was different from the blood sphere he had seen before. The blood sphere in the devil array was a single entity, but this blood sphere was covered in blood. These blood streams were flowing rapidly, and they seemed to be separated from each other. There was even more devil qi that intertwined in the gaps between the streams of blood. Strange. Xiaohua's gaze fell on this blood sphere, and an indescribable feeling rose in his heart. Why does this blood sphere look similar to the metal and wood elements? However, it's really similar. Aren't the blood streams on the blood sphere the path of the magnetic force? Moreover, some of these blood streams flow towards one end of the blood sphere, while others flow towards the other end of the blood sphere. If this blood sphere reproduces a magnetic force, then it's really the blood array magnetic force. Just as Xiaohua was sizing up the devil array beneath his feet, tens of thousands of devils had already gathered in the space of the devil array. They stood densely all around Xiaohua, and it was a magnificent sight. At this moment, several devil generals waved the devil banners in their hands, and thousands of blood threads flew out from the devil banners, landing on different devil generals. Xiao Hua's body was no exception, and a blood thread also landed on his body. Moreover, the blood thread that landed on Xiao Hua's body came from the devil banners of the devil general that Xiao Hua was familiar with. When that blood thread landed, an indescribable feeling came from the devil armor, and the blood vessels in Xiao Hua's body moved slightly. Chapter 41-45. All of you, listen to the order of the Devil Lord. Just as Xiao Hua was frowning, a voice very strangely appeared from within Xiao Hua's demonic armor. Xiao Hua could clearly see that the voice was coming from the blood threads. However, when Xiao Hua heard the voice of the demon general, he didn't feel that it was familiar at all. However, before Xiao Hua could listen any further, a strange sound came from the distant space. The group of demon generals and Xiao Hua all turned their heads to look in surprise. They saw that the space first seemed to be boiling and many bubbles floated out. Then, black and white lights splashed everywhere. There were even some dark green light threads in the light. In the end, the space within 100 li rapidly collapsed. The space within a few hundred li was distorted by this collapse. In this distortion, several human figures were revealed like fireflies scattered on the surface of water. Boom! The moment these human figures appeared, the collapsed space suddenly exploded. A powerful aura rushed towards the blood sphere in the demonic array and the group of demon generals. When the aura rushed into the blood sphere, it was like a huge rock being thrown into the water. The blood pillar that formed an arc was deeply pressed into it. The group of demon generals didn't receive any orders. They all quietly stood in the air without moving. Wherever the aura passed, hundreds of demon generals were torn to pieces. When the aura passed by Xiao Hua, he immediately understood. He couldn't help but exclaim in his heart, "Transmission channel! Someone in the ruins is using the transmission channel." Sure enough, wherever the exploding aura passed, the human figures merged into one. It was a young cultivator wearing a Taoist robe. The young cultivator's body trembled slightly. The light protecting his body also flickered. His pale face was filled with confusion and incomprehension. It seemed that he still didn't understand what was going on. However, before his divine sense could sweep out, he saw the group of demon generals and the bloody demonic array in the surroundings. The young cultivator immediately understood. He hurriedly raised his hand and a magic treasure that looked like a wheel appeared in his hand. Under the activation of the magic treasure, thousands of light pillars shot out from the magic treasure. Several demon generals that were closer to the cultivator were killed by the light pillars. Kill! The commanding demon generals were clearly shocked by the sudden turn of events. Only now did they regain their senses. Under the urging of several demon banners, tens of thousands of demon generals rushed towards the cultivators. Damn it! The young cultivator cursed. As he flew, he released his divine sense to search for a way to escape. The Dharma treasure in the cultivator's hand shone brilliantly and killed all the devil generals that pounced on him. The cultivator was obviously in the void refinement realm and the devil generals were no match for him. However, these devil generals were not afraid of death. Wherever the cultivator flew, they would chase after him. Xiao Hua naturally flew along with these devil generals. Seeing that this cultivator had the upper hand, he simply observed from the back. If this cultivator was in trouble, or if this cultivator could find a way to escape from the devil formation, he would definitely make the first move. Seeing that many devil generals were killed by the cultivator, the devil generals holding the demon banners stopped. One of them waved the demon banners as if to send a message. However, at this moment, the devil general that Xiao Hua was familiar with suddenly flew to the side of the devil general and seemed to say something. As a result, the devil general's demon banners stopped. Then, several devil generals activated their demon banners. Instead, he asked again, "When you saw this old man just now, did you already recognize this old man?" Yes. Di Shirtian seemed like he was going to cry. Xiao Hua using Kunlun Mirror to kill the devil monarch had left an extremely deep impression on him. Now that he had fallen into Xiao Hua's hands, he was even worse than a child. Xiao Hua only needed to move his finger to kill him. Right now, he was extremely regretful. Why did he want to lay a trap for Xiao Hua? Why did he have to kill this Xiao Hua who was even more powerful than the devil monarch? Was it just to take credit? Or was it because of some other reason? Similarly, Xiaohua's finger really moved. However, the strength in his hand didn't appear. The devil qi around Xiaohua's body gradually disappeared, revealing his original appearance. He looked at Di Shirtian with interest and asked, "This old man still has a question. If your answer satisfies this old man can consider letting you go." "You go ahead and ask." Di Shirtian's mouth was a little dry as he asked softly, "How many devils did you send to invade the ruins? How many devil monarchs came?" "Daoist Xiao." Di Shirtian smiled apologetically. However, no pleading could be seen on his malevolent face. "I am just a devil general who is about to advance into devil commander. How could I know so much?" "How many devils do you know? Which devil race are you from? The name of your devil monarch?" "I am from the Mayfly race. My devil monarch is called the Mayfly race." Di Shirtian hesitated for a moment before answering. "I only know of the zombie race and the Qiujia race. I don't know anything else." "How do you break the devil array?" Xiaohua asked again. Di Shirtian shook his head and said, "I really don't know about this. Furthermore, I feel that it is impossible for humans to break this devil array." "Daoist Xiao, this is already the second question." "Damn it." Xiaohua's hand tightened as he scolded. "This old man is only asking a few questions." A group of blood demons scuttled out from the blood and pounced towards Xiaohua with bared fangs and brandished claws. If it was an ordinary cultivator, at this time, their magic power was insufficient and their body was controlled by the magnetic force. It was inevitable that they would be somewhat at a loss, but in Xiaohua's eyes, the blood demons were so unbearable. Green light flashed between Xiaohua's eyebrows, and layers of 3 corpses in thunder gushed out from Xiaohua's body. Ka-cha-cha! Under the thunder, who knew how many blood demons were instantly killed? However, Xiaohua flew towards the distant blood ball for half a cup of tea's time and still didn't see the pure magnetic force. Moreover, the blood demons were even more powerful and could already resist the soul cultivator's lightning flash and thunder roll technique. Xiaohua looked at these blood demons that were also flowing along the magnetic force's trajectory, and a thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. Needless to say, this magnetic blood ball was not only a part of the devil race's great formation, but also the place where the devil race used to refine the blood demons. If these blood demons were successfully refined by the magnetic blood ball, they would absolutely be a sharp weapon to exterminate human cultivators. Thinking of this, Xiaohua increased the number and range of 3 corpses in thunder. However, this magnetic blood ball was so big. Inside this devil race's formation, not only was Xiaohua's divine ability greatly restricted, but Xiaohua's injuries also didn't allow him to display his skills. Therefore, Xiaohua's several efforts were just a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. After another cup of tea's time, the blood sea gradually decreased, and a dark red space gradually appeared in front of Xiaohua's eyes. Xiaohua understood that this was the true magnetic space. Therefore, Xiaohua slapped his forehead and opened his delirium breaker Dharma eye. Fortunately, Xiaohua had the heavenly demon essence in his space, so he was able to take out 18 drops of blood essence not long ago. After dripping the blood essence, Xiaohua hurriedly took some wood essence crystals and water essence ice essence crystals from afar. He didn't have time to refine the blood threads in the wood essence crystals and water essence ice essence crystals. After casually throwing them into the space, he flew towards the sea of blood above his head. Behind Xiaohua, a black tortoise with red eyes and an azure dragon with some demonic patterns between its eyebrows flew out from the 2 poles. They coldly looked at him and then disappeared. After taking some medicinal pills, Xiaohua's body once again surged with lightning. His figure once again rushed out from the magnetic blood sea. The direction Xiaohua chose was different from when he came in. Instead, it was in the direction of the ruins. When Xiaohua came out of the magnetic blood array, there weren't any devils in front of him. Or it could be said that the distant devils didn't notice the sudden appearance of a human in the magnetic blood array. Xiaohua coldly smiled. His body once again surged with demonic aura. The demonic armor covered his entire body, and a genuine devil appeared out of thin air. However, just as Xiaohua stepped on the demonic cloud and rushed down about 3,000 zhong from the demonic array, An extremely faint devil sense suddenly appeared from all directions and swept toward Xueqi. Although this devil sense carried the smell of blood, it didn't have the fierceness of an ordinary devil. Moreover, the range of this devil sense was very wide. It swept out from all directions of the demonic array. When this devil sense landed on Xueqi's body, it immediately stopped. Waves of strange fluctuations appeared in the space around Xueqi's body. Motherfucker, how is this possible? Just now, they didn't discover this Xiao. How can they discover this Xiao now? Xueqi was greatly alarmed. He knew that he had been discovered by the devils. Therefore, he didn't care about concealing anything. His body shone brightly, and the demonic aura was swept away. Then, his entire figure turned into a shadow and disappeared among the devils. Chapter 41-47. Swish 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 swish. With a light sound, a layer of ink-like darkness suddenly appeared within 1,000 li of the demonic array. In this darkness, a lightning-like trace appeared in an instant, and at the end of this trace, Xueqi's figure appeared in a slightly sorry state. As soon as Xueqi's figure appeared, his divine sense valiantly swept over 1,000 li range. Puff puff. A series of explosions sounded in all directions, and the low-level demons near Xueqi were shattered by Xueqi's divine sense. Strange. Xueqi was a little baffled. There is no demon above the level of demon commander within 1,000 li. Which demon can restrict this old man's teleportation? Then, Xueqi's figure flashed and disappeared again, and this time, his divine sense was left outside his body, paying attention to the strange scene in the surroundings. Sure enough, in just a moment, the demonic sense that swept over Xueqi before moved again, and a pitch-black demon body appeared in the surrounding void along with the demonic sense, surrounding Xueqi within 1,000 li, revealing the traces of Xueqi's teleportation. Xueqi teleported in the demonic array. At the beginning it was still easy, but in the end, the space seemed to be blocked by mud, and became more and more difficult to move. He had no choice but to use the lightning escape, and this was quite difficult to move 1,000 li. Looks like a demon discovered this Xiao, and then controlled the demonic array to stop this Xiao. At this time, Xueqi already somewhat understood, but at this time, his figure had already reached the edge of the demonic array, and Xueqi had already seen wisps of fire in the blood-colored darkness. Xueqi's figure appeared, and with a wave of his hand, he took out the demonic banner he snatched from Indra's hand, and the demonic chi around his body surged into the demonic banner, and then, after a little test, hundreds of blood threads flashed on the demonic banner, and fell on the blood array. The blood array slightly trembled, and then, according to the blood threads, it divided into hundreds of pieces, and these hundreds of pieces of the blood array began to tremble, gradually forming a whirlpool-like demon head. Once the demon head was formed, it actually opened its mouth and said coldly, "Human actually wants to pass off as a demon to pass through this senior's body, don't you think? You are too delusional?" As he spoke, a faint demonic sense rushed into the demonic banner in Xueqi's hand along the blood threads. Boom boom. A series of muffled booms rang out as the demonic banner was easily destroyed by the demonic sense. You. At this moment, Xueqi suddenly came to a realization and shouted in disbelief. "You are the devil spirit of the devil formation? Ha ha." That spinning devil head laughed strangely, causing the surrounding devil array to tremble. "You have been in this sovereign's body for so long, and you only found out now? Damn it." Xueqi was somewhat aghast. He naturally lowered his head and looked around. In his heart, he really couldn't believe that such a large demonic array actually had intelligence. Moreover, it even formed a demonic spirit. If that was the case, then everything that had happened to him in the demonic array would make sense. Just at this time, a powerful devil sense that could overturn the sky appeared from afar like a hurricane, and a roar followed. "Xueqi, you actually followed me to the demonic array? Then don't leave." Devil Emperor. Hearing this, Xueqi couldn't help but smile bitterly. In front of him was a devil spirit of the demonic array whose depth was unknown, and behind him was a devil emperor whose strength surpassed his own. Although Xueqi didn't know the extent of the devil emperor's injuries, Xueqi was clear about his own situation. At this time, it was absolutely not suitable for him to fight. Otherwise, death was secondary. If he fell into the devil path, that would be terrible. Therefore, Xueqi raised his hand and took out the Kunlun mirror. Rarely seen, an 8th rank scattered nascent soul poured all of his true essence into the Kunlun mirror. Woo-woo. The entire Kunlun mirror trembled, as if it was cheerfully chirping. On the surface of the Kunlun mirror, a faint bloodlight and flame appeared. There were several layers of bloodlight, but there was only one flame. The corner of Xueqi's mouth slightly smiled. His index and middle fingers came together and formed a seal. His mouth also uttered a draconic voice, haha. As Xueqi's 2 fingers touched the flame on the Kunlun mirror, a several zhong large light beam came out of the Kunlun mirror and directly shone into the blood array. However, the strange thing was that the light beam seemed to fall into the blood wave and the devil flame, but the light beam didn't really touch the blood wave. It was as if the light beam opened a passage out of thin air. Damn it. Xueqi sighed. This Xiao is now a cultivator before the Mahayana stage. I used all of my true essence of an 8th rank scattered nascent soul to open the passage of the Kunlun mirror. Moreover, this passage seems to be only a few hundred li. If I want to really control this Kunlun mirror, I'm afraid it will be difficult to succeed without immortal spiritual power, right? Kunlun mirror, how can this guy be here? At this time, the devil spirit of the demonic array also roared. The blood array within 100 li surged and rushed towards the light beam of the Kunlun mirror. Unfortunately, no matter how the blood sea wreaked havoc, it couldn't touch the light beam. However, within 100 li of Xueqi, a crazy devil chi was born. The devil emperor borrowed the power of the demonic array and caught up to Xueqi in a moment. Xueqi didn't dare to be negligent. His figure moved the light beam into the Kunlun mirror. With a wave of his big sleeve, the Kunlun mirror disappeared into the demonic array along with the light beam. Chase. After a few breaths, Huang Yu's figure appeared. His face was full of anger. He only hesitated for a moment and shouted angrily. The blood array rushed out of the demonic array and covered him. It also disappeared. Outside the demonic formation, there was a huge formation that looked like a sea of fire that protected ruins. However, this formation wasn't as tight as the demonic formation. There were many flaws in it, and there were many elements of earth, fire, wind, and thunder that rushed out from the flaws. At this time, in the sky several li away from the demonic array, a 4-colored halo flashed. That halo rapidly rotated and instantly formed a light ball. In a moment, Xueqi's figure appeared in the light ball. When the light scattered, Xueqi hurriedly looked back at the demonic array several hundred li away and released his divine sense. However, just as his divine sense landed on the demonic array soared with 100 zhong of flames and burned his divine sense. Damn it, how can this demonic array be my match? I'm not convinced. Xueqi was a little helpless. His figure swayed and flew towards the location of the earth, fire, wind, and lightning. He also knew that it would not be long before the demonic emperor rushed out of the demonic array to kill him. After flying for a while, Xueqi suddenly thought of something. He took out the Kunlun mirror and shook it, dragging that young cultivator out. The cultivator looked like he was adjusting his breathing. When he suddenly appeared, he was sitting cross-legged in the air. He did not even open his eyes. Xueqi anxiously shouted, "Fellow Taoist, quickly come and help I have already escaped from the demonic array. However, under this demonic array, there is a Tao sect array. I'm not familiar with it. I wonder if fellow Taoist has any ideas?" The cultivator hurriedly opened his eyes. When he scanned with his divine sense, his expression changed greatly. He said in shock, This is the demonic array's realm protection array. What can I do?" As he spoke, the cultivator's divine sense naturally swept towards the demonic array above his head. Jith! A strange laugh came from the demonic array. Several strands of the cultivator's divine sense were actually devoured. Oh my god! When did the demonic array besiege my ruins? No wonder all the transmission arrays can't be used. The cultivator's face was really ashen. He looked at Xueqi in surprise and cried out involuntarily. "You are walking into a trap." Xueqi looked at this cultivator who was as unlucky as him. This cultivator must have thought of all sorts of ways to return to the ruins, but he didn't expect that what greeted him was a dead end. Ayo! At this time, 1,000 zhong tall demonic pillar rushed out from the demonic array in the distance. The demonic emperor stepped out on the clouds. "All right, I have a communication talisman. I don't know if it can be used. The cultivator suddenly woke up and hurriedly took out a jade talisman from the Sumeru ring. He activated his magic power and said, "After all, this realm protection array is rarely activated." I don't know. Good, it can be used. That's great. The communication talisman drew an arc in the air and disappeared into the array. The cultivator let out a long sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Taoist Master Xiao, don't worry. Wait until we enter the realm protection array. Not to mention the demonic emperor, even if the demonic master comes, we don't have to be afraid." Hearing this, Xiao Hua understood that this cultivator definitely came back from other places in the cultivation world. If it was a cultivator from the ruins, no one would say such shameless words. If the realm protection array was useful, how could the demonic emperor avoid the array and sneak into the ruins? However, after a moment, Xiao Hua frowned again and a new doubt arose. That's not right. Since the demonic emperor of the demonic array can enter the ruins realm protection array, even if they sent the demonic array in bit by bit over the years, they would have sent all the demonic array in. Why are they guarding the demonic array? Could it be they want to finish it in one fell swoop? Kill all the cultivators in the ruins all at once? Only in this way can they collect more souls? But, if that's the case, what about the wandering souls they killed over the years? Most of them have already been collected by this Xiao. What else can they get? Forget it, I don't care so much. When I go back this time, I'll go to every corner of the ruins and pull the firewood from under the cauldron of the demonic array. Maybe the demonic array will withdraw when they see that there are no more wandering souls. Just as he was thinking, he saw a several hundred zhong long fire pillar rushing out of the realm protection array. A white-haired cultivator appeared in the fire pillar, holding the communication talisman that the young cultivator had sent out. The young cultivator didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "This one is Yang Chong, a disciple of the Misty School. I went out to gain experience and have just returned from the Tai Bai astral boundary. I was trapped in the demonic array. Fortunately, Taoist Master Xiao of the Fortune Gate rescued me. Now that the two of us have escaped from the demonic array, the demonic emperor is chasing after us. Please let us enter the realm protection array." Oh! Who would have thought that the young cultivator's face would turn strange after hearing the young cultivator's words? His gaze actually pierced through the fire pillar and looked at Xiao Hua. Seeing that the cultivator guarding the realm protection array didn't answer and didn't open the realm protection array, Xiao Hua had a bad feeling in his heart. Chapter 41-48. Sure enough, as Xiao Hua expected, the old cultivator replied indifferently, "Yang Chong, don't blame I for being unreasonable. It's just that the ruins is facing an unprecedented crisis. For some reason, the devil race has been besieging the ruins for hundreds of years. In these hundreds of years, not only have the cultivators in the ruins not been able to go out, but none of the disciples outside the ruins have returned. This poor Taoist does not know how you were teleported back, but this poor Taoist knows that Xiao Hua possesses the devil race's cultivation technique. Previously, in Ping River, he fought with the devil emperor in front of your Misty Sect's sect master. He has the devil's saber in his hand and scared the devil emperor away, and he himself disappeared into thin air. Now, he appeared here again. Yang Chong, do you think I will let you in? No way, right? Yang Chong was shocked and looked at Xiao Hua with some disbelief. His figure actually flew back several meters with a vigilant face. Damn it. Xiao Hua's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the cultivator inside the fire pillar. He really wanted to punch his nose and see what it looked like if his nose was crooked. Although he was an outer world cultivator, in order to kill the devil race in the ruins, he brought the Fortune Gate's disciples out of the Shanhua continent. In order to save the White Cloud Monastery and the other 8 sects in the southwest border, tens of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples died. He was trapped by the heavenly demon for more than 10 years and experienced life and death. Xiao Hua believed that what he did was much more than a real ruins cultivator, but in the eyes of some people, these merits were not worth a trace of trust. He only revealed his devil body and devil saber. Moreover, this was to save hundreds of thousands, no millions of Misty School's disciples. Just because of this suspicion, the cultivator in the realm protection array actually didn't let him in and let the devil emperor chase him. Xiao Hua's heart suddenly turned cold. Xiao Hua was even disappointed. He looked up at the devil array and calculated in his heart. With his strength, since he came here, he might be able to break through the devil array. If he could break through the devil array, then the world outside the devil array was huge. He already had the Cultivation World's star chart in his hand. Although there was no transmission array to return to the hidden immortal continent, who knew if there were other places? Escaping would be better than dying here, right? However, this thought merely flashed through Xiaohua's mind. After all, Sun Jian, his clones, and the several 100,000 Fortune Gate disciples fighting the devil army were still inside the ruins. Xiaohua couldn't possibly abandon them and live alone. At this moment, another voice sounded beside his ear. Yang Chong flew over with an apologetic look on his face, as if he was embarrassed by his vigilance just now. Spiritual Master Xiao, I don't know what your identity is. But now I have no other choice. He could only choose to believe in the real person. Moreover, I also knew that if the Taoist master wanted I's life, he probably wouldn't even need to enter the magnetic space, for I would have already fallen. Therefore, I am willing to advance and retreat together with Taoist Master Xiao. Yang Chong's words were very good, but Xiaohua didn't feel particularly comfortable listening to them. The reason was very simple. Xiaohua had already seen through Yang Chong's thoughts. After all, Yang Chong's thoughts were nothing more than two considerations. First, since Xiaohua could save Yang Chong from the magnetic blood array, it meant that Yang Chong had value. Xiaohua was still outside the realm-protecting grand formation, so Yang Chong's value was still there. If Xiaohua wanted to use Yang Chong to enter the ruins, then he couldn't kill Yang Chong. Secondly, it was even simpler. Compared to the ferocious devil race, Xiaohua looked like a human and was pleasing to the eye. Compared to the murderous aura behind him, Yang Chong was willing to bet on his own moral standing and Xiaohua's moral standing. But Xiaohua looked at Yang Chong with a smile and said, "What if I have other intentions and want to use your identity to enter the ruins?" Yang Chong's face turned slightly red. Then he raised his head and nodded vigorously, saying, "Yes, I do have an idea in my heart. Because I don't know Taoist Master at all. Although Taoist Master saved me from the devil array, Taoist Master Xiao was able to come and go freely in the devil array where devils were dancing wildly. Taoist Master Xiao was also able to come and go freely in the magnetic space where it was extremely difficult for human cultivators to get close. How could I not doubt Taoist Master's motives? However, I am also a human. I would rather die in the hands of a human like Taoist Master than die in the hands of a devil race." And although Xiaohua nodded, his eyes flickered again. He ignored the devil sense that had already swept over him. After Yang Chong finished speaking, he raised his voice to the cultivator inside the fire pillar and said, "I risked my life to teleport back from the Tai Bai astral boundary because I have an important message to send back. Since I can't return to the Misty School at this time, I ask fellow Taoists to spread this message to the various sects in the ruins." "And, please speak, fellow Taoist Yang." The cultivator inside the fire pillar nodded indifferently, unmoved. Yang Chong looked at the devil emperor in the distance who was chasing over. His face turned slightly red, and he said loudly, "This Yang has received a top-secret message. The moon god realm may have already experienced a great desolate starstorm. Although the ruins are remote, it will be destroyed by this great desolate starstorm sooner or later. I ask all the sects in the ruins to make early plans. And I know. I will definitely report this to the assembly hall." A trace of shock appeared on the cultivator's face as he transmitted his voice. Then, the old cultivator looked at Xiaohua again. At this time, the flames around the cultivator inside the fire pillar began to sway. Obviously, he was affected by the Devil Emperor's devil sense. However, the old cultivator's voice also came. "Taoist Master Xiao, it's not that I don't believe you. I also don't want to believe you. After all, your Fortune Gates fight in the southwest border is obvious to all the cultivators in the ruins. However, I don't have the qualifications to believe you. Even more so, I don't have the qualifications to let you in. I protect the great boundary protecting formation, and I shoulder the lives of hundreds of millions of human cultivators in the ruins. I can't act on my own. I only have two questions for Taoist Master Xiao. First, if you were in my place, would Taoist Master Xiao dare to let me and Yang Chong into the formation? Second, is other people's opinion more important, or is your own action more important?" At this point, the fire pillar's flames suddenly extinguished, and the cultivator's figure also disappeared along with the flames. Haha. Xiaohua first lowered his head, then clapped his hands and laughed loudly. I act on my own will. My will is my heart is Ren Xiaoyao. Who cares if the sky collapses or the earth sinks? With that, Xiaohua waved his sleeve and covered Yang Chong, saying, Yang Chong, if you believe this Xiao, then don't resist. Sensing the powerful magic power that completely confined him, Yang Chong smiled bitterly and said, Taoist Master Xiao, although this one wants to struggle, I'm not as strong as Taoist Master Xiao. Xiaohua smiled slightly and didn't say anything more. Carrying Yang Chong, the universe in the sleeve flashed brilliantly, and once again, he appeared on top of the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation extremely far away. However, Xiaohua's eyes swept and he teleported again, not stopping at all. This happened a few times, and when the Devil Emperor rushed over with a roar, Xiaohua had already kept Yang Chong into the Kunlun mirror. Devil Qi once again appeared on his body, and he rushed into the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation along the path of the Devil Qi from before. The Devil Emperor pounced over, and just as he was about to get close to the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation, boom! Tens of thousands of fire crows flew out from the huge fire pillar and pounced on the Devil Emperor. The Devil Qi around the Devil Emperor surged, and several devil arms formed from white bones waved their devil weapons. Devil flames overflowed into the sky and extinguished some of the fire crows, but the rest of the fire crows still pounced on the Devil Emperor and devoured the Devil Qi around him. The Devil Emperor hesitated for a moment, and with a pooh, he spat out a mouthful of dirty blood, extinguishing dozens of fire crows near him. Then he looked at the earth, fire, wind, and thunder formation with hatred, and said in bewilderment, This Xiaohua is a little strange. How did he know that this was the place where the devil formation attacked the ruins? Previously, in order to conceal this place, this emperor urged the devil formation to attack at thousands of earth, fire, wind, and thunder formations. Damn it, after Xiaohua passes through here today, this loophole will definitely be discovered by the human race. If this emperor wants to enter the ruins again, it will be a lot more troublesome. Damn it. Really damn it. As he spoke, the realm protection formation of the ruins surged with a monstrous sea of fire, and groups of fire crows and many fire attribute magic weapons surrounded it with a terrifying aura. Xiaohua released his divine sense, but he couldn't see where he was, so he let Yang Chong out of the Kunlun mirror. Yang Chong looked to his left, and joy appeared on his face. He bowed and said, Junior thanks Spiritual Master Xiao for saving my life. No need to say anything more. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, First, tell me about that great desolate starstorm in the moon god realm. When will it arrive? How powerful is this great desolate starstorm, and how will it affect the ruins? Chapter 41-49. Oh. Hearing this, Yang Chong hurriedly explained, The so-called star explosion is when a planet like the ruins explodes for some reason. Of course, the planet must be big enough. The explosion of such a big planet will create a shock wave, and this kind of power of heaven and earth will spread in all directions. If there are no other planets around the planet, the shock wave will become smaller and smaller, and finally disappear. But if there are other planets affected before the shock wave subsides, that planet will also explode. Then the shock wave will increase again. This old man understands. Xiaohua nodded. If the shock wave is big enough, the entire moon god realm will be destroyed by this star explosion? That's right. Yang Chong hurriedly nodded, and said, But this junior is also not sure about this news. After all, the moon god realm is almost boundless for void refinement cultivators like us. Who knows where this star explosion will come from? But since this junior knows this news, I can't not send it to the Misty School. All communication methods and teleportation channels can't be used. This junior just remembered that the Misty School had a teleportation array in Tai Bai Star Realm a long time ago that was no longer in use. Forget it, no need to say any more. If this star explosion is real, how long will it take to reach the ruins? Xiaohua waved his hand, stopping Yang Chong from explaining again. Yang Chong hesitated for a moment, and said, At most 10,000 years. Xiaohua understood, and said thoughtfully, This is the size of the moon god realm, right? Yes. Yang Chong answered honestly. This is the estimation of some seniors. This junior doesn't know. Xiao Hua didn't ask any more about this matter. He looked around and said with a smile, "Where is this place, do you know?" Yang Chong had already released his consciousness. After looking for a moment, he pointed in a direction and said, "This place is more than 70,000 miles from Ping River. My Misty School's teleportation array is not far from here." Xiao Hua looked in the direction Yang Chong pointed, and said with a smile, "Let's go, this old man will go with you to Ping River. There's no need to use any teleportation array." This old man wants to ask Lu Wuxia, when did this old man's good intentions turn into ill intent? Yes. Yang Chong knew that Xiao Hua was angry in his heart, but he didn't dare to say anything, let alone release a messaging talisman, so he answered in a low voice. Xiao Hua's eyes flashed with a fierce light. With a wave of his sleeve, he first imprisoned Yang Chong, then activated the lightning escape technique and flew towards Ping River. As expected, after Xiao Hua flew for a while, he didn't see Ping Jiang. He also couldn't find any trace of Ping Jiang with his spiritual force. Xiao Hua knew that he had flown in the wrong direction. Just as he was about to release Yang Chong, he saw a white-robed scholar with a sword at his waist flying towards a certain direction. Xiao Hua landed in front of this white-robed scholar. Ah! Xiao Hua's sudden appearance startled the white-clothed scholar. But seeing Xiao Hua's appearance, the white-clothed scholar immediately bowed and saluted. Junior Misty School's Yang Haoya greets Senior Xiao. Junior thanks Taoist for saving my Misty School. Get up. Xiao Hua's heart warmed. He helped this disciple up and said with a smile, "Where are you going?" Junior knew that the sect was besieged by the demon race and hurriedly rushed back to Ping River. Junior's cultivation is limited. Although Junior used the transmission formation, I still couldn't make it back. Yang Haoya hurriedly replied. But Junior also received a message from the sect on the way back. I know Senior's spirit of bravely fighting 2 demon emperors on Ping River. Xiao Hua asked with interest. Yang Haoya, don't forget, this old man might be a spy of the demon race. Spy? Yang Haoya stared blankly for a moment, then laughed. That's the gossip of people with ulterior motives. If Senior was a spy, the Southwest sect would have already fallen into the hands of the demon race. The ruins would have already fallen. How could my Misty School still have a place for Junior to stay? And Xiao Hua nodded slightly, then asked again. Which direction is the Misty School? Although Yang Haoya was astonished, he didn't dare to ask too much. He pointed to the direction in front of him and said, "There's still 30,000 li ahead. There's a small transmission formation of my Misty School. No need. Follow this Xiao and fly there." This time, Xiao Hua didn't dare to use the universe creator. He just raised his hand and grabbed, bringing Yang Haoya to fly in that direction. Naturally, he was corrected twice by Yang Haoya. Xiao Hua's divine sense finally saw the familiar Ping River. Soon after, Xiao Hua flew for a moment and released Yang Chong and Yang Haoya. Seeing Yang Chong appear, Yang Haoya stared blankly for a moment, then hurriedly bowed and said, "Granduncle, disciple Yang Haoya greets Granduncle. Why did you suddenly return to Ping River?" Yang Chong naturally didn't recognize Yang Haoya. Yang Haoya explained a few more words before Yang Chong helped him up. Originally he wanted to explain something, but Xiao Hua said impatiently, "Let's return to Ping River first." "Yes, Senior." Yang Chong knew that Xiao Hua was in a bad mood, but he still nodded and followed Xiao Hua to Ping River. At this time, the smoke of war in Ping River had yet to settle. The chaotic Yuan Qi of heaven and earth and the remnant devil Qi were tangled together, and the unpleasant smell of blood still assailed the nostrils. Xiao Hua also sensed that there were many wandering souls nearby that couldn't fall into the 9 springs. They were still lingering around Ping River. Xiao Hua wasn't in the mood to collect these wandering souls. He only looked at the flashing lights of the dozens of big cities in the distance and flew forward. The appearance of Xiao Hua and the other 2 immediately attracted the attention of the patrolling disciples. Several people came forward to greet them, and several people hurriedly flew away to report. Not long after, many disciples came forward to greet them. Unsurprisingly, all of the disciples had gratitude in their eyes, and the reverence on their faces didn't have any hypocrisy. Looking at these disciples, although there was still some anger in Xiao Hua's heart, he felt that his previous efforts were worth it. He also felt that the injuries on his back were gradually getting better. Although the cultivators of the Misty School had different opinions about Xiao Hua's devil arts, they were all afraid of Xiao Hua. When they heard that Xiao Hua had survived the attack of 2 devil emperors and even appeared in Ping River again, although the disciple who reported didn't say anything, everyone could see that Xiao Hua was condemning them. Therefore, when the vice-sect leader Lien brought a group of Misty School cultivators to welcome Xiao Hua, he had a respectful expression on his face, but his heart was on tenterhooks. Xiao Hua's divine sense swept over, and when he saw that Lu Wuxia wasn't among them, he couldn't help but frown. The vice-sect leader Lien hurriedly went forward and bowed. Greetings to Taoist Xiao. Junior represents the disciples of the Misty School to thank Taoist Xiao for his help. The other cultivators who came to welcome Xiao Hua also bowed and thanked him. Xiao Hua raised his hand, and a barrier appeared out of thin air, blocking their salutes. Xiao Hua said indifferently, "I don't dare to accept this. I might be a human devil heart, but I joined hands with 2 devil emperors to put on a show in front of the Misty School. I don't deserve any thanks." The vice-sect leader Lien and the others' faces were burning, and they stood there awkwardly. They couldn't continue to bow, and when they stood up, they felt embarrassed. "Where is Lu Wuxia?" Xiao Hua didn't feel like talking to them anymore, so he withdrew his magic and asked. The vice-sect leader Lien took the opportunity to bow, stood up and said, "Taoist Xiao, our sect leader was seriously injured in the battle with the Devil Emperor, and is currently in seclusion to heal her injuries." "Oh, sect leader Lu Wuxia was injured?" Xiao Hua was slightly surprised. The vice-sect leader Lien hurriedly told him what happened after Xiao Hua disappeared, and finally said, "If Taoist Xiao has something important to say, Junior can send a message to the sect leader." "No need." Xiao Hua waved his hand. "It seems that the Devil Emperor really wants to destroy the Misty School. After being injured by this old man, he still wants to attack. Since sect leader Lu is injured, let her heal quickly. Who knows when the Devil Emperor will attack again? At that time, without this Xiao and the Devil Emperor's cooperation to put on a show, I'm afraid the Misty School will be in trouble." "Yes." The vice-sect leader Lien nodded, and glanced at the several disciples beside him who lowered their heads in silence. The anger in his heart was very obvious. The vice-sect leader Lien thought for a moment, and then glanced at Yang Chong and Yang Haoya beside Xiao Hua, and said in a low voice, "Senior, please come to the hall and serve tea." "No need." Xiao Hua waved his hand again and was about to leave. How could Yang Chong not understand the vice-sect leader Lien's intention? He didn't go forward to bow. Wasn't it because he was waiting for this opportunity? Yang Chong hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. "Taoist Master Xiao, you saved this junior from the devil array. This junior has nothing to repay you with. Now that you are leaving, this junior will inevitably leave a knot in his heart." The jade bottles fell in front of Yang Chong and said, "These are the healing pills this old man refined. Take them." Yang Chong was overjoyed. He hurriedly took them and carefully put them away. Then Xiao Hua thought for a moment and asked, "Yang Chong, if we can repel the devil race, even without the transmission array, the cultivators of the ruins should be able to escape this star explosion, right?" Yang Chong was slightly stunned and said with some confusion, "What does senior mean? This junior doesn't understand." What this old man means is, the transmission array of the ruins seems to have been destroyed by the devil race. Even if the devil race is defeated, the cultivators of the ruins can't rely on the transmission array to leave the ruins and go to other star fields. Then, can they rely on the flying boat or flying their physical body to escape this disaster? Xiao Hua still didn't understand flying in a star field. Thinking about his previous encounter in the demonic array, he had this doubt. Although Yang Chong was a little surprised, he still explained, "Senior should know that flying through the star field is not as simple as you think. First, there is no heaven and earth origin energy in the star field. Human cultivators can only rely on their own abilities and can't fly too far. Second, the star field looks very peaceful, but there are many dangers inside. Spatial cracks, dust storms, or strange beasts in the starry sky. None of them can be dealt with casually. Third, there is no direction in the star field. Even if you have a star chart in your hand, it is not easy to find the right path. If you have a flying boat, it may be better than flying with your physical body. However, Ordinary flying boats are not much better than cultivators, let alone crossing realms. Xiao Hua listened thoughtfully and nodded from time to time. The difficulties of flying in the starry sky mentioned by Yang Chong were nothing to him. Although he had never really flown in the starry sky, he could recognize the direction in the void, so he should be able to do the same in the starry sky. Moreover, he had a star chart. The only difficulty now was the danger in the star field, and whether he could fly out of the moon god realm before the arrival of the star field. While Xiao Hua was thinking, the vice sect master came in with 2 more cultivators. Lu Wuxia was not among them, but at this time, the 3 cultivators no longer had the previous panic on their faces. Instead, it was replaced by a slight smile. It was obvious that they had a card up their sleeve. Oh! Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, "Could it be that Sect Master Lu already has a countermeasure?" Heh. Yang Chong nodded and explained, "My sect master said that even if the star field comes, it will be thousands of years later. Why are we panicking now? Moreover, my sect master also complained that the star field came too late. If it came now, all the devils would be killed by now." Xiao Hua was surprised and asked, "Sect Master Lu seems to have the confidence to escape from the star field? She is still in seclusion? The current crisis is that the devil race is besieging us. My sect master naturally has to treat her injuries first." A cultivator at the side said with a smile, "But Senior Xiao doesn't need to worry. My sect master has already agreed to let Senior and the disciples of the Fortune Gate use our Misty School's secret teleportation formation to leave the moon god realm." Secret teleportation formation? Hearing this, Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition and hurriedly asked, "Weren't the teleportation formations of the ruins destroyed by the devil race? No matter how secret your Misty School's teleportation formation is." Xiao Hua did not finish his words, but the suspicion in his words was very obvious. Vice Sect Master Lien smiled and waved an ancient magic tool in his hand, saying, "My sect master has already bestowed this magic tool. Daoist Xiao, please follow this junior to verify it." Okay. Xiao Hua nodded. Looking at the magic tool flying in the vice sect master's hand, he did not have much hope in his heart, because he had already seen the power of the devil formation. He knew that the devil formation already had its own intelligence. What was a devil spirit? Perhaps no one in the ruins understood it better than him. The devil spirit Xiao Hua was a clear proof. Even the vice sect master didn't bring along Yang Chong and the other 2. He only brought Xiao Hua to the depths of the city, to a seemingly ordinary garden. Xiao Hua's divine sense swept through the garden, but he couldn't find anything unusual. However, there were no Misty School disciples within a few li of the garden. Even the disciples on duty in the surrounding palaces were very few. Vice Sect Master Lien activated the magic tool in his hand while explaining, "Daoist Xiao, this is my Misty School's forbidden area. Without the sect master's permission, no one can come close." And Xiao Hua slightly nodded. His gaze landed on the magic tool in Vice Sect Master Lien's hand. He saw that this magic tool was in a flat oval shape, like a spindle. Under the urging of Vice Sect Master Lien's magic power, this magic tool was suffused with 2 colors of brilliance. The green color turned into a spinning shape, and the dark green color turned into a flowing water shape. The 2 colors of brilliance rushed into the air and turned into a pagoda. Immediately after, from the left palace hall, a total of 9 ripples rushed out, respectively landing on the 9 floors of the pagoda. Then, the pagoda began to tremble slightly. Boom! The 2 colors of brilliance actually let out a thunderous sound and once again fell into the magic tool. At this time, it was as if Vice Sect Master Lien was struck by lightning. "Yes, this junior has already checked," Vice Sect Leader Lien said with a smile. "This transmission array is not only in good condition, but the transmission channel is also completely normal." "But with the hand seals you just used?" Xiao Hua did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Yes." Vice Sect Leader Lien looked at Xiao Hua strangely, puzzled. "Could it be that you have to activate the transmission array to know if the transmission channel is normal?" "My ruins transmission array is checked like this." And Xiao Hua's eyes turned a few times, but he did not comment, and asked again, "Is there anything else you want to check, Vice Sect Leader Lien?" "No." Vice Sect Leader Lien answered honestly. "Good." Xiao Hua smiled and said, "You are fine, but this old man still has something to do." "Senior, what else do you want?" Vice Sect Leader Lien was stunned, and at this moment, Xiao Hua waved his big sleeve and used the Heaven and Earth sleeve technique, immediately imprisoning Vice Sect Leader Lien. Vice Sect Leader Lien was stunned. He really did not know what Xiao Hua was doing, and he also did not expect Xiao Hua to suddenly attack. However, in just a moment, Vice Sect Leader Lien's face changed greatly, as if he had thought of something. However, at this time, everything did not allow him to resist. Xiao Hua raised his hand and waved, sending Vice Sect Leader Lien out of the palace door, and then his hands formed a hand seal, and a hand seal was released. Vice Sect Leader Lien stood outside the palace door in a daze, and in his heart, there was a kind of rejoicing that he was not killed by Xiao Hua at that time. Of course, in addition to this rejoicing, Vice Sect Leader Lien was also somewhat regretful, regretting that he trusted Xiao Hua too much. Although the palace door was open, there was a restriction on the palace door, and no matter the brilliance or the roar of the palace, the people outside the palace could not hear it. After waiting for a full meal's time, Xiao Hua walked out of the palace door and looked at the pale Vice Sect Leader Lien. Xiao Hua waved his big sleeve and released the restriction on Vice Sect Leader Lien, and said indifferently, "This old man's matter is done, we can go now." Vice Sect Leader Lien whispered, "Senior Xiao, what matter do you have?" "Nothing." Xiao Hua did not answer Vice Sect Leader Lien's question, and said, "You go in and see if there is any damage to your Misty School's transmission array." Okay. Vice Sect Leader Lien had long wanted to go in, and after hearing Xiao Hua's words, he hurriedly flew in. But in that space, the huge transmission array was still quietly floating in the air, but the whole space was filled with active Heaven-Earth origin qi and some chaotic fluctuations, as if it had just been activated. Vice Sect Leader Lien thought of what Xiao Hua had said before, and immediately understood what Xiao Hua had just done. He was somewhat ashamed, and after checking the transmission array's situation, he flew out of the palace, wanting to ask about the transmission array's situation. Unfortunately, when he flew out of the palace, where was Xiao Hua's figure? Vice Sect Leader Lien's heart tightened, and he hurriedly chased out, but unfortunately, until he returned to the Lingxiang Palace, he still did not see Xiao Hua. I'm afraid Senior Xiao has already left the Misty School." Vice Sect Leader Lien sat on the jade chair, looking at the empty palace, and secretly thought, "But, my Misty School's transmission array. Can it be used normally?" Misty School's transmission array obviously could not be used. Otherwise, Xiao Hua would not have left in such a hurry to avoid Vice Sect Leader Lien's questioning. However, Xiao Hua also understood, as long as he did not say anything, Vice Sect Leader Lien and the entire Misty School's heart would have a kind of luck, or perhaps a kind of hope. With this kind of hope and luck, these disciples would have the courage to fight the demons to the end. Xiao Hua flew out of Ping River, and after identifying the direction, he prepared to go to the transmission array. But after flying for a moment, he found a familiar figure going to the same transmission array as him. Xiao Hua landed next to that person, and said with a smile, "Yang Haoya, are you going to the transmission array?" "Ayo. Senior Xiao." Yang Haoya was shocked, and hurriedly stopped, bowed and said, "Senior, why don't you stay in my Misty School for a few more days? Why are you leaving in such a hurry?" "I only scolded them a few words. Don't tell me I really want to vent my anger on them?" Xiao Hua replied with a smile, "I already scolded them, so why am I not leaving? When your sect leader comes out, I'm afraid he will regain his face." "Hee hee." Yang Haoya smiled. The babe Xiao Hua mentioned were his elders. He did not dare to say anything behind his back. "Don't tell me you also want to leave the Misty School?" Xiao Hua waved his hand, indicating Yang Haoya to continue flying forward, and asked again. Yang Haoya nodded and said, "Junior and a few good friends are in a small team. We were ordered by the conference hall to patrol the vicinity of Leha Mountain. Because Junior heard about the matter of the sect, Junior was worried, so Junior hurriedly returned. Now that the sect is fine, Junior naturally has to rush to Leha Mountain to meet up with my friends." "Hee hee, not bad." Xiao Hua praised, "As long as the Misty School has a disciple like you, even if there will be a big change in the future, it will be because of you the fire seed will be able to regain its glory." "Ah?" Senior Xiao. Yang Haoya was slightly startled, and asked, Senior, what do you mean? Nothing, I'm just lamenting. Xiao Hua smiled and asked, who are your good friends? Seeing that Xiao Hua did not say anything, Yang Haoya was also helpless, and could only reply, Junior's team has 12 people. They are the disciples of the Misty School, Shindao Sect, Fragrance Cult, Heavy Flow Sect, Immortal Herding Sect, Yanhong Hall, Jingfei Mountain, and other sections. Among them, Junior and Shindao Sect's Wan Wuxin are good friends. Oh, you know Wan Wuxin? Xiao Hua immediately thought of the Wan Wuxin he saw in the transmission hub. Senior knows Wu Xian? Yang Haoya asked curiously. Why didn't Junior hear him mention it? Xiao Hua shrugged and replied. You should ask Wan Wuxin this question. Haha. Yang Haoya smiled and said, Wu Xian is a person who hides his words. Even if Junior asked, he might not say it. Back then, Junior was hunting demonic beasts in the Pinbo Lake, and I was accidentally surrounded by several demonic beasts. Wan Wuxin rushed out to help Junior, and then the two of us worked together to kill the demonic beasts and snatch their cores. Since then we have become good friends. Even though we are friends who have gone through life and death, there are many things that he won't tell Junior. Haha, everyone has their own personality, this can't be forced. Xiao Hua nodded. At this moment, Yang Haoya hesitated and said, Junior's team has a cultivator that Senior is very familiar with. Very familiar? Xiao Hua muttered and smiled. I don't know many disciples. This person is probably from the fragrance cult. As for whether it is Yu Mingxin or Yu Changming, I can't guess. Yu Mingxin and Yu Changming are both there. Yang Haoya smiled and said, that day at the transmission hub, in order to save Senior, Yu Mingxin used the secret sacrificial technique to summon the phantom of the moon beast. Now it has become a legend in the ruins. Haha, this little girl. Xiao Hua smiled and said, in order to repay a debt of gratitude, she even sacrificed her own life. This is really beyond my expectations. Chapter 41-52. At this point, Xiao Hua's heart moved as he asked, have Yu Mingxin and Wan Wuxin already arrived at Mount Leha? This Junior doesn't know. Yang Haoya answered honestly, but if nothing unexpected happened, they should be at Mount Leha. Of course, if Senior wants to know, why don't you come with Junior to take a look? How could Xiao Hua still dare to meet Yu Mingxin? He hurriedly waved his hand and said, you all have your own matters to attend to. This old man also has his own matters to attend to. This old man won't go with you to Mount Leha. When you see Wan Wuxin and Yu Mingxin, send my regards to them. No problem. Yang Haoya naturally didn't know about Xiao Hua and Yu Mingxin's matters in the heavenly demon fantasyland. He immediately agreed and then asked, however, Senior Xiao, junior sister Mingxin seems a little strange. Why did she suddenly wear a veil? No one is allowed to see her appearance. That. Xiao Hua was shocked and hurriedly interrupted Yang Haoya's words. Fly slowly. This old man has some urgent matters and can't wait any longer. Yes, Senior, please. Yang Haoya hurriedly bowed to send him off. Xiao Hua turned into a stream of light and flew far away. Yang Haoya raised his head and looked at Xiao Hua's disappearing figure with admiration. He muttered to himself, Spiritual Master Xiao is indeed a righteous person. Although he is an outsider, he has put in a lot of effort for the survival of our ruins. However, when he said this, a layer of gloominess appeared on his face. He sighed and said, Alas, it's a pity that people's hearts are fickle and unpredictable. Spiritual Master Xiao with such a kind heart was actually said to be a demon. I really don't know what those people are thinking. Xiao Hua arrived in front of the teleportation formation and inquired about it. Immediately, a disciple of the Misty School led him to a teleportation formation. As the teleportation formation flashed, Xiao Hua left Ping River again. After Xiao Hua came out of the teleportation formation and flew for more than 1,000 li, he saw a winding mountain range on the horizon. Although the mountain range was still far away from Xiao Hua, its majestic aura along with the fierce wind in the surroundings and the many clouds high up in the sky had already entered Xiao Hua's vision. When Xiao Hua saw that the direction was not too far off, he released his spiritual force as he flew towards the mountain range. Although the clouds in the sky were scattered, there were many vortexes near each cloud that were hard to see with the naked eye. These vortexes blew out fine breezes, and when they reached midair, These breezes mixed together and began to form a strange hurricane. This hurricane enveloped an area of nearly 10,000 miles. Xiao Hua was flying within the hurricane. One after another, the wind blades landed on his protective golden light and actually caused the golden light to flicker. As Xiao Hua's figure went deeper, the wind blades became increasingly powerful. In the center of the array formation, the mountain range that Xiao Hua had seen before was already like a huge dragon coiling on the ground. What surprised Xiao Hua was that there wasn't just one mountain range like this. There were 6 other similar mountain ranges next to it. These 7 mountain ranges had different colors, and they were all in the shape of a rainbow. Moreover, these mountain ranges were in the shape of a spiral. Finally, in the center, they condensed into a conch-like mountain peak that rose from the ground to a height of several thousand zhang. Xiao Hua's spiritual force swept across the mountain peak. Not only was his spiritual force blocked by the array formation, but there were also 7 different kinds of power that were born at the same time and began to use the power of heaven and earth to devour Xiao Hua's spiritual force. This sect protecting formation of the fragrance school is really not bad. Not only can it use the innate terrain to draw in the chi of the earth to condense the array, it can also draw in the mutual promotion and suppression of the 5 elements into the chi of heaven and earth. The eye of the array is distributed in the void, making it difficult for people to figure out whether it is real or fake. Xiao Hua was a formation grandmaster. After looking at it for a moment, he had already understood the array formation. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Although the origin of this array formation is not comparable to the Misty School, it is much stronger than the 2 innate divine restriction formations of the Misty School. The person who set up this array formation. I'm afraid it's the same as the senior who set up the teleportation array of the Misty School. They also occasionally passed by the ruins and casually took action, right? Thinking of the Misty School's array formation, Xiao Hua suddenly thought of another matter. That day in Pingjiang, he had promised Lu Wuxia that he would teach the complete Earth Clan Soul Condensing Array and Winnowing Basket Heart Cleansing Array to the Misty School. However, because of the invasion of the 2 demon emperors, Xiao Hua had to hastily fight them. Later on, he even went to the demon array, so this matter was put aside. When Xiao Hua returned to the Misty School, his heart was filled with anger. How could he still think of this matter? As for the cultivators of the Misty School, they were even more afraid to speak. Forget it. Xiao Hua's anger had already disappeared. He thought to himself, when I have time, I'll give the 2 arrays to the Misty School. Just based on the word Misty, it seems extremely familiar. Perhaps this Misty School is related to the Misty School in this Zhao's memory. There's no harm in giving it to them. However, when the time comes, let's see what they have to trade with this Xiao. Some sect masters came to visit the incense sect and couldn't wait for him to move all his disciples over. They also couldn't wait for the incense sect to come out in full force to welcome them. Fortunately, the incense sect was one of the 3 great sects in the ruins. There was no need for them to deliberately flatter the sect masters of other sections. However, this was the first time he saw a cultivator like Xiao Hua who regarded etiquette like a snake or scorpion. Let's go. Xiao Hua glanced at Song Yun and ordered, don't wait for your sect master to come. You lead the way. Senior, you don't want to wait for my sect master. Song Yun said halfway and immediately came to his senses. He hurriedly shrunk his neck and said, Senior, please. The sound of wind was loud in the hurricane passage. Xiao Hua casually moved his body and flew forward like falling rain. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the sound of wind gradually decreased. A kind of vigorous and steady aura suddenly intensified. Xiao Hua understood that this was the location of the incense sect's 5 elements formation. However, before he could use any divine ability, he saw a 7-colored brilliance soar into the sky from the distance. The brilliance let out a rumbling sound, shaking the sky for nearly 1,000 li. From the distant conch-shaped mountain peak, it directly landed in front of Xiao Hua's eyes and turned into a 7-colored rainbow bridge. A voice fell along with the rainbow bridge. I am Mo Lian Shi. On behalf of the incense sect, I welcome Taoist Xiao. Immediately, in front of Xiao Hua's eyes, a 3-colored brilliance emerged from the rainbow bridge. It turned into the appearance of a young master in embroidered clothes and cupped his hands in greeting. I, Xiao Hua, greet Sect Master Mo. Xueqi couldn't be disrespectful and also cupped his hands in greeting. Taoist. Please. Taoist has come from afar. I came late to welcome you. The young master in embroidered clothes' appearance became clearer. It was the appearance of an elegant youth. This youth had white teeth and red lips. His eyes contained a smile. A sense of intelligence flowed out from the youth's eyes. He looked similar to a student of the academy. Chapter 41-53. Hee. Seeing Lianqi's appearance, Xueqi couldn't help but think of his youth before he entered the nascent soul stage. His impression of Lianqi was very good. He raised his hand and said with a smile, Sect Master please. Lianqi nodded. Her figure was like lightning as she flew towards the end of the rainbow bridge. Xueqi also moved his body and followed behind. As they flew closer, Xueqi could clearly see that on the other side of the rainbow bridge was a huge palace. Not only did it cover the entire mountain, even the 7 mountain ridges were under it. Moreover, this palace was in the shape of a flower. The flower had 7 petals, each corresponding to the 7 mountain ridges. Even the color of the petals corresponded to the mountain ridges. Where Xueqi's gaze landed, the 7-colored palace had a kind of feeling as if it was about to fly away, like a flower swaying in the wind. As Lianqi landed, in the center of the flower, in front of a huge palace, there were only a few women in colorful clothes standing gracefully. When these female disciples saw Xueqi, they immediately bowed and saluted. They called out, Junior greets Taoist Master Xiao, Sweat. Seeing the peerless beauty of these female disciples, Xueqi's heart slightly twitched. He hurriedly waved his hand and helped the girls up. He smiled and said, All of you rise. Haha. Lianqi laughed and said, Taoist Xiao is indeed a person with a temperament. This little one also hates those complicated formalities. It's really boring. It's better to have a few flower-like girls to accompany you and admire the flowers under the moon. Xueqi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He waved his hand and said, Sect Master Mo's words are a bit inappropriate, right? Complicated formalities and admiring the flowers under the moon have nothing to do with it. Hee, that's what I meant. Lianqi didn't care about the meaning of Xueqi's words. She pointed at the 2 female disciples and said, You too, serve Taoist Xiao well. Otherwise, I'll hold you responsible. Yes. The 2 women were beautiful, fat and thin. They answered and immediately walked over. They held Xueqi's arms on both sides. Their softness and warmth immediately stuck to him. The admiration in their eyes didn't seem to be fake. They respectfully said, Taoist, please. The 2 female disciples not only had delicate looks, their temperament was also refined. Their eyes didn't have any foxy charm. However, Xueqi already didn't get close to women for tens of thousands of years. Although his Tao heart was firm, he didn't cultivate the virgin technique. The moment he touched these fleshy bodies, he felt his heart was raging. Damn it. Xueqi hurriedly activated his heart technique and cursed inwardly. He knew that he was injured, and it was the Devil Emperor who injured him. His willpower was insufficient. Since he knew that he couldn't resist, Xueqi simply didn't pretend to be an expert. He raised his hand and waved it, saying, Sect Leader Mo, quickly let your 2 female disciples leave. I have been heavily injured, Taoist Xueqi. Now, I can't take this kind of temptation. If I do something inappropriate, I'm afraid it won't be good for either of us. Lianqi's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He naturally knew everything that had happened in the ethereal sect. He had also hypothesized a few excuses that Xueqi would use to decline. He had even assumed that Xueqi would not decline. However, he had not expected that Xueqi, who was at the Tao transformation realm, would so frankly admit that he could not be tempted by women. Lianqi smiled and said, Taoist Xiao, don't think too much. The female disciples of the Misty School are all top-quality cauldrons. At the same time, Taoist Xiao chased away the 2 Taoist emperors who attacked the Misty School. This Xiao has received the grace of a beauty, but I'm afraid that I won't be able to repay it. Since that's the case, it's better not to touch it. What repayment or no repayment? This is all their own will. There's no need for any repayment. Lianqi said disdainfully, if Taoist won't spoil his Tao foundation because of plucking Yin to replenish Yang, then feel free to try my Misty School's secret technique. You must know that in the ruins, who knows how many disciples of sects have come to our door and are willing to tie the knot with my Misty School's female disciples. In an instant, Xiaohua suddenly understood why Yu Mingxin treated him like that. He smiled bitterly and then said seriously, Sect leader Mo? People of different paths cannot make plans together. This old man didn't come for this matter. Hee good. Lianqi smiled and pushed the female disciple in her arms out and said, people often say that guests should follow the host's wishes. Today, I can only follow the host's wishes. Very good. Xiaohua clapped and said with a smile, Sect leader Mo, please find a secluded hall. I have an important matter to discuss with sect leader. Don't be anxious, Taoist Xiao. Lianqi's eyes slightly narrowed again and said with a smile, I have already sent disciples to find Yu Mingxin. Taking advantage of this time, I will introduce a few elders of my sect to Taoist. I also have an important matter to discuss with Taoist. Xiaohua's eyelids twitched and he said somewhat helplessly, Sect leader Mo, when this Xiao came to Misty School, this Xiao had already seen Yang Haoya who was together with Yu Mingxin. If this Xiao is here for my own personal matters, why would I come to Misty School? Wouldn't it be better to directly find Yu Mingxin? Sect leader Mo, if this is the case, wouldn't this Xiao be in trouble again? So Taoist Xiao didn't come for the important matter of Yu Mingxin Lianqi replied with a sudden realization. However, this sudden realization clearly wasn't a sudden realization. Seeing this, Xiaohua's heart was moved. He stared at Lianqi for a few breaths of time and then said word by word, Sect leader Mo, what do you mean? Could it be that if I didn't come for Yu Mingxin, I couldn't come to Misty School? Sect leader Mo already knew that this Xiao would definitely come to Misty School and you are testing this Xiao? AI. A trace of gloominess appeared on Lianqi's face. She nodded slightly and sighed. This one naturally knew that Taoist Xiao would come. Moreover, this one knew when I heard Taoist Xiao's name. This one hopes that I heard wrong and that Taoist Xiao isn't that person. Unfortunately, Taoist Xiao still came. Although this one doesn't know what important matter Taoist Xiao brought. This one. At this point, Lianqi stopped and looked at the few female disciples on the left. She waved her hand and said, You all can leave. Yes, sect leader. The few female disciples bowed and left. Among them, 2 of them looked at Xiaohua reluctantly. After the few female disciples left, Lianqi said, Let's go, Taoist Xiao. Let's go to Bright Palace and tell this one what is important enough for me to wipe out the incense sect. Lianqi lifted her foot. Xiaohua was shocked. The premonition from before was born again. He asked in a low voice, Sect leader Mo? You already knew that this Xiao was going to bring you the message of wiping out the sect? Yes. Lianqi's figure slightly paused. She then looked back at Xiaohua and replied with certainty. Otherwise, why would this one leave such an order to the disciples of the sect? How did you know? Xiaohua followed, still somewhat puzzled. Lianqi forced a smile and said, Once Taoist Xiao enters Bright Palace, you will naturally know. When Xiaohua followed Lianqi into Bright Palace, he saw that it was a huge hall. The 4 walls were painted with Desolation Catalog. These Desolation Catalog were different from the ones Xiaohua had seen before. Other than giants, mountains, floods, and monsters, there were also many fragments. These fragments seemed to be a whole. Many of the edges were the same. Of course, these fragments were not only scattered within a certain catalog, but also between different catalogs. Moreover, there were obscure fluctuations emanating from within these fragments. Everywhere Xiaohua's eyes landed on, the fragments emanated a strange and variegated brilliance, and Xiaohua was actually able to see stars, regions, continents, and so on and so forth through these lights. Xiaohua frowned and his gaze fell on other parts of the catalog. The things on these catalogs seemed to be engraved on them. Other than the fluctuations within the fragments, there was also the ubiquitous aura on the catalog. This aura was different depending on what was engraved on it. If all these auras were connected together, there would be a strange covering and drowning. After looking at the catalogue around Bright Palace, Xiao Hua's gaze fell on the main hall. There were a few brocade chairs there. Currently, several young cultivators were sitting on them. When they saw Xiao Hua and Emolienqi enter, they all stood up and welcomed them. When everyone came closer, Emolienqi stopped and smiled at Xiao Hua. Daoist Xiao, these are the elders of my aroma sect. I, Chong Min, greet Daoist Xiao. A white-clothed scholar with curved eyebrows smiled and cupped his hands. Immediately after, a blue-clothed middle-aged cultivator with a somewhat yellow face cupped his hands and said, I, Wu Hong, greet Daoist Xiao. The other was a burly man with a big waist. The beard on his face could be seen. His voice was also loud and clear. He cupped his hands and said, I by Zhenzhong, greet Daoist Xiao. Fellow Daoists, please rise. Xiao Hua hurriedly raised his hand to help everyone up and said with a smile, I, Xiao Hua, greet fellow Daoists. Chapter 41-54. The four exchanged some pleasantries, and Bai Zhenzhong even asked about Xiao Hua's injuries. Xiao Hua answered everything. When Xiao Hua finished, Emolienqi's face tightened, and said, All right, everyone, let's take a seat. Daoist Xiao is still injured. After today's matter is arranged, Daoist Xiao will need to go into seclusion to recuperate. All right, Daoist Xiao please. The three elders respectfully invited Xiao Hua to take a seat. Xiao Hua nodded slightly, and sat down on the guest seat. Emolienqi and the others sat beside him. Fellow Daoists, this Xiao has come today for the Devil Formation and the Moon God Realm's Great Desolate Starstorm. Xiao Hua looked at everyone and said, Hiss. Everyone's expression changed when they heard about the Great Desolate Starstorm. As they sucked in a breath of cold air, they looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with fear. As expected, Emolienqi's expression slowly calmed down, and said indifferently, Then, please tell us the details of Daoist Zhao's situation. Xiao Hua nodded, and told them about the devil race he saw outside the realm protecting Great Formation, as well as the news brought by Yang Chong. Damn it. Emolienqi's face turned cold, and said angrily, This must be the doing of Yanhong Hall and Jing Feishan's sect. They want to borrow the power of the conference hall to suppress the Fortune Gate whose reputation is gradually catching up to theirs. These two sects are really shameless. Emolienqi's words clearly had a trace of trying to cover it up, as if he didn't know that Xiao Hua was blocked outside the ruins by the realm protecting Great Formation. Xiao Hua looked at Emolienqi. He didn't believe that Emolienqi, the sect master of the ruins' three great sects, didn't know what happened in the conference hall. Since Emolienqi directly pointed out the two sects, and said it with a suspicious tone, Xiao Hua already knew that these two sects must be behind it. Xiao Hua smiled and replied, It's fine, who cares who it is? My Fortune Gate won't stay in the ruins for long, and won't compete with these two sects for fame and profit. Emolienqi nodded. This one also knows that Daoist Xiao and the Fortune Gate will definitely escape from this disaster. Xiao Hua's brows raised and said curiously, Sect Master Emo seems to know a lot. It's time to explain it to this Xiao. Of course. Emolienqi said smiled. Daoist Xiao wait. Daoist Xiao, Daoist Xiao, Daoist Xiao, you won't be willing if I don't explain it. Then, the jade hairpin actually turned into a golden dragon, the hairpin turned into a golden dragon actually, the hairpin turned, and through turned, and through some hand seals, and through cast, it ends and cast through and through cast, and through cast and made a hand seal's S hand, and then cast the N and cast formed cast. He the S. Sh. Inside the light, the female cultivator's huge figure slowly appeared, and an aura that suppressed everything in the hall instantly filled the bright palace. Around the female cultivator's soul projection, small cracks appeared in the space, and inexplicable fluctuations ran amok in these cracks. The female cultivator's face seemed to be very clear, but Xiao Hua's gaze could not see her face. Even a simple outline was empty in Xiao Hua's mind, but Xiao Hua clearly knew that this primordial spirit projection was the female cultivator. At this time, the female cultivator's voice was like thunder. Sect Master Lan Xichen of the 72nd generation greets Daoist Xiao Hua, Daoist Xiao. Seeing that the female cultivator's soul projection was actually cupping her hands in greeting, Xiaohua was shocked. He hurriedly got up, wanting to return the greeting, but even though it was just a soul projection, the aura was heavier than a mountain. Not to mention getting up, even breathing was difficult for Xiaohua. Taoist Xiao, there's no need to be so polite. The female cultivator's soul projection seemed to know what Xiaohua was thinking. After greeting him, she said with a smile, I still have something to entrust to you, Taoist Xiao. I hope you won't refuse. Xiaohua said respectfully, Senior Lan, please tell me what you need. If I can do it, I won't refuse. You must be confused right now, Taoist Xiao. It's not too late to agree after listening to me explain the ins and outs of this matter. Lan Xichen's nascent soul projection said, when I was training in the cultivation world, I obtained a jade slip that recorded the art of divination. Based on this jade slip, I cultivated some divine abilities of divination. After I cultivated to the 9th stage Dao transformation realm, I passed the position of sect master to my disciples and participated in the selection of the Moon God Palace. I left the ruins and entered the Moon God Palace. After that, my cultivation improved, and my divination techniques became even more radical. I felt a sudden impulse one day and sensed that the incense cult would face a great disaster in the future. So I hurriedly used the moon ripple pool of the Moon God Palace to perform divination. Unfortunately, I's cultivation was shallow and couldn't deduce when the incense cult would face a great disaster. I also didn't know what kind of disaster it would face. However, I saw Taoist Zhao's appearance and name in the moon ripple pool, and knew that Taoist Zhao would come to the incense cult's 7 ridge mountains before the great disaster. Therefore, I took advantage of my official duties and returned to the incense sect. While rearranging the sect-protecting formation, I also set up a formation in the Bright Palace and left my primordial spirit projection, waiting for perfected Zhao's arrival. Xiaohua had already seen the power of the Shaman King's God-connecting technique in the Million Meng Mountains, so he wasn't too surprised by the words of the former sect master of the incense cult who could enter the Moon God Palace. At this point, Lan Xichen smiled and said, By now, Taoist Xiao must have understood what I wanted to entrust to Taoist Xiao, right? Yes, it's the inheritance of the incense cult, including the 30,000 disciples, all the cultivation methods and necessary auxiliary items. No way. Xiaohua's expression changed slightly, and he smiled bitterly. Senior Lan already divined that the incense cult would face such a great disaster. So why didn't you make plans earlier? Why didn't you take the incense cult's orthodoxy and leave the ruins? You could even send the incense cult's disciples to Heaven's Equal Realm, Tai Bai Astral Boundary, and so on before the demon race besieges the ruins, right? Lan Xichen's primordial spirit projection seemed to know that Xiaohua would ask this question. When Xiaohua's voice fell, the primordial spirit projection said again, This poor Taoist has already thought about what Taoist is thinking, and is also prepared to do so. However, if Taoist sees this poor Taoist's primordial spirit projection now, then all of your previous efforts will be in vain. Any thoughts of stealing from the heavens will be destroyed by the heavens. My incense cult can only wait for Taoist Zhao's arrival. Where is the current sect master of the incense cult? Inform Taoist Xiao of this matter. At this time, Lianqi hurriedly opened her mouth and said, The 3208th sect master of the incense cult, Lianqi, greets the founder. Then, Lianqi said to Xiaohua in a low voice, Taoist Xiao, every sect master of the incense cult received a jade slip and a message when they took over the sect master position. Inside the jade slip is naturally a portrait of Taoist Xiao, and the message is about Xiaohua's name, as well as the preparations for the great disaster. In this preparation, other than the disciples, cultivation methods, and necessary auxiliary items, it is to send disciples outside the moon god realm to establish a branch of the incense cult. But the strange thing is, every time my incense cult establishes a sect in another realm, it will be destroyed by other sects in less than 100 years, without any exception. Therefore, after I took over the sect master position, I tried once and never sent any disciples again. After saying this, Lianqi respectfully said to the primordial spirit projection, This disciple has finished speaking. After a while the primordial spirit projection opened its mouth again. Taoist Xiao, after hearing this, You should already understand. Although this poor Taoist does not know if you can really save the orthodoxy of my incense cult, this poor Taoist has seen your appearance and name. This poor Taoist believes that you will play a key role in this calamity. Therefore, this poor Taoist will entrust the orthodoxy of my incense cult to you. If you agree, please stand in the center of the bright palace. I obtained a strange cultivation technique from the Moon God Palace, and it might be useful to you. I will give it to you now as an agreement. If you don't want to, then you don't have to go. I will give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to consider. After that, not only will my primordial spirit projection disappear, everything in the bright palace will also disappear. After hearing the primordial spirit projection's words, not only was Xueqi stunned, but the faces of Mo Lianqi and the others also changed greatly. Mo Lianqi of course knew about the primordial spirit projection, but he didn't know the specific situation. Of course, he also didn't know that the ending wasn't decided beforehand. If Xueqi didn't agree, the orthodoxy of the incense cult wouldn't be able to leave the ruins, and it might be destroyed in the great desolate starburst. Moreover, even if Xueqi agreed, the orthodoxy of the incense cult might not necessarily be preserved, because Lan Xichen didn't know if Xueqi would be able to escape the disaster. Taoist Xiao. Mo Lianqi's body also couldn't move, so he begged in a low voice. Taoist Xiao, please agree to this for Yu Mingxin's sake. At this point, Xueqi had already thought it through. Since Lan Xichen saw him in the divination technique, then he would definitely play a role in the disaster. Although he might not be able to escape the great desolate starburst, there was a possibility that his space could exist. Therefore, Xueqi already somewhat understood the meaning of Lan Xichen's primordial spirit projection. However, he was a little worried. The Fortune Gate's disciples on the Shanhua continent all cultivated the nascent soul, while the incense cult's disciples cultivated the primordial spirit. These two different cultivation methods would inevitably lead to conflict, and he didn't have a good plan to prevent this from happening. This primordial spirit cultivation method was unique to the ruins. Who knew if it could be used on the Dawn Rain continent or the hidden immortal continent? Even if he took away the incense cult's inheritance, would they be able to survive on the hidden immortal continent? Of course, this was a matter for the future. Since Xueqi had come to the incense cult to send a message, how could he stand by and do nothing? He lifted his foot and walked towards the center of the bright palace. However, just as he moved, the aura suppressed him, making it difficult for him to move an inch. Chapter 41-55. Sigh. Xueqi bitterly smiled as he silently cursed in his heart. Motherfucker, even at this point, they still want to test this Zhao's cultivation level. It seems like this bright palace is not only a place to preserve Lan Xichen's soul projection, but also a place to test this Zhao's strength. Immediately after, Xueqi's entire body's magic power was activated. Layers of lightning, like a torrent of 1,000 miles, rushed towards the soul projection's aura. Rumble. Although it couldn't be compared to a destructive force, the torrent of lightning still created a path that was several feet wide, leading straight to the center of the bright palace. Xueqi's figure flashed. Under the heavy pressure of this aura, he actually teleported to a large piece of bluestone in the center. Just as Xueqi's figure appeared on the bluestone exploded with a boom. Tens of thousands of crushed stones covered Xueqi's figure. Those crushed stones were also a kind of sealing formation, imprisoning the magic power in Xueqi's body and so on. Not good. Xueqi was greatly alarmed, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. However, where Xueqi's gaze fell, Mo Lianqi's expression was also astonished. Obviously, he also didn't know that the blue stone in the center of the bright palace had such a change. Sure enough, just as the blue stone formation was formed, the soul projection smiled and said, Taoist Xiao is indeed a man of his word. Please wait a moment. I need to borrow the hand of our sect's leader to mobilize the bright palace's formation to imbue Taoist Xiao with power, so I have no choice but to first estimate Taoist Zhao's magic power. As he spoke, the Yuan spirit projection said a few more words to Mo Lianqi. Mo Lianqi's face suddenly lit up, and her hands slowly formed a seal. A human-like Yuan spirit appeared above her head. As the Yuan spirit rippled like water, Lan Xichen's Yuan spirit projection also began to vibrate. When the two Yuan spirits' ripples came close, Lan Xichen's Yuan spirit projection turned into a ray of distorted light and fell into Mo Lianqi's Yuan spirit. Mo Lianqi's Yuan spirit appearance began to change, and in the end, She became a stunning beauty. The woman glanced at Xueqi, pursed her lips and smiled. Her slender fingers made a grabbing motion, and an inexplicable ripple came from her hand. She didn't seem to be forming any seals. Wang wang. A rumbling sound came from all around the bright palace. All the star fragments that Xueqi saw on the desolate catalogue released a faint power of the stars and moon. They flew out from various parts of the palace and slowly gathered above Xueqi's head. After a few breaths of time, all the fragments disappeared, and an oval sphere appeared in the air. This sphere was filled with starlight, and within the starlight was a strange light and shadow. Rise! As the woman formed another seal, the entire bright palace began to spin. Layer after layer of desolate catalogue rushed out from the palace's walls and turned into light and shadow that fell into the oval sphere. As the light and shadow fell, the sphere seemed to become heavier and slowly fell. When the brilliance in the palace dimmed, all the desolate catalogue had fallen into the sphere, and the sphere had already fallen on top of Xueqi's head. This sphere was so heavy that Xueqi's figure was somewhat distorted. Xueqi's face was somewhat pale. He could truly feel the power contained in this sphere. He almost cursed Lan Xichen in his heart. How is this giving me a boost? This is the rhythm of smashing me to death. Boom. As the corners of Lan Xichen's mouth curled up into a smile, Xueqi only felt a sharp pain in his head. His vision turned black, and the endless desolate catalogue appeared just like in the relic world. However, this catalogue was different from the previous one. Each desolate catalogue corresponded to a star domain fragment, and when combined, they transformed into a cultivation technique or technique that was imprinted in Xueqi's mind. Inexplicable realms, cultivation techniques and techniques that were difficult to comprehend were also born in Xueqi's mind. Xueqi endured the sharp pain, clenched his teeth, and persevered. He memorized all the cultivation methods and secret techniques with his heart. In the eyes of Lianqi and the others, Xueqi's figure had already shattered, and each fragment seemed to correspond to a broken catalogue, flashing with a mysterious brilliance. After an unknown amount of time, Xueqi's mind suddenly became light. All the visions disappeared, and the shackles around Xueqi's body also disappeared. Xueqi's figure became light, and then he collapsed to the ground as if he had collapsed. Damn it! Xueqi cursed. This Lan Xichen is a madman. I'm already a Mahayana cultivator, but I can't accept this secret technique. Who knows what she accidentally obtained? How am I supposed to cultivate like this? Even if this Xiao cultivates, what kind of realm can I cultivate to? How can I dare to use it? However, when Xueqi raised his eyes to look again, Lan Xichen's Yuan spirit projection had already left Lianqi's Yuan spirit and had already turned into an extremely dim silhouette. When he looked at the entire bright palace again, it was also completely devoid of light. However, all the places where the primeval catalogue and the star domain fragment had been previously were empty. Only the restrictions on the four walls of the palace remained. Taoist Xiao. Lan Xichen's voice was very weak. I can only do this. I hope Taoist Xiao will be satisfied and pass me on to your descendants. Before Lan Xichen could finish speaking, her soul projection turned into a firefly and slowly floated in the air. Even within the main hall, countless powders also floated down. These powders carried a kind of fragrance that permeated the entire hall. Xueqi raised his hand and wanted to use his magic power to sweep away these powders. However, when he raised his hand, an indescribable feeling arose from the bottom of his heart. 2 lines of an unknown poem appeared in his mind. The spring silkworm's silk ends when it dies, and the wax torch turns into ashes until tears dry up. No matter how domineering and rude Lan Xichen's methods were, her kindness to the younger disciples of the incense cult was unparalleled. As a Dao sect senior, she had long surpassed the 9th stage of Dao transformation. For the sake of the survival of the younger disciples, she still treated Xueqi as an equal and even called herself I. This alone was enough to move Xueqi, who was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. Weren't these powders and fragrances the result of Lan Xichen's efforts for the sake of the incense cult? Since Xueqi had such thoughts, Lianqi and the others naturally had the same thoughts. They all raised their heads and allowed the powders to fall on them. They allowed the powders to fall on their faces and heads. The strange thing was that the shattered fireflies formed by Lan Xichen's Yuanshan projection also fell. Most of them landed on Xueqi's body, while a small portion landed on Emolienchi and the other 3. These shattered fireflies immediately merged into their bodies the moment they touched their skin. A strange feeling arose in everyone's heart. It was as if their minds and Tao realms had solidified. Moreover, when the Yuan Shen projection landed on them, the powders also merged into their bodies. Rings of colorful halos overflowed from the top of everyone's heads. After a full 5 minutes, Lan Xichen's soul projection completely disappeared. The powders that filled the main hall also fell onto the bluestone floor. Only then did everyone wake up as if from a dream. Disciple thanks Ancestral Master. Emolienchi and the others were ecstatic. They all knelt on the ground and expressed their gratitude. Xiao Hua, on the other hand, was a bit confused. However, he also knew that this was Lan Xichen's good intentions, so he bowed towards the sky. After a while, Emolienchi and the others climbed up from the ground. They looked at the basically ruined Hao Ming Palace and smiled bitterly. Daoist Xiao, I'm sure you already know the ins and outs of this matter. It's not that I didn't tell you earlier, but that I didn't know at all. Xiao Hua nodded and said, Sect Master Mo, please rest assured. Since I've already promised Senior Lan, I'll definitely do it. As long as I can escape from the ruins, I'll definitely bring the orthodoxy of the incense cult out. I'll let the descendants of the incense cult spread their branches and leaves in other cultivation realms. I won't hesitate to ensure that the incense cult survives. Speaking of this, Xiao Hua hesitated and said, Also, didn't Senior Lan say it? She only predicted the beginning of the robbery and also predicted my arrival. However, she didn't predict the end of the calamity. The incense cult might not necessarily be in this calamity. Although Xiao Hua didn't finish his words, Emolienchi also understood what he meant. He smiled and said, We're only planning for the worst. As for whether we live or die, that's the decision of the heavens. Damn it. Maybe when this chaos starstorm comes, the devil race of the ruins will scatter and the crisis of the ruins will be resolved without a fight. Xiao Hua listened to Emolienchi's words of joy in the midst of bitterness and felt rather uncomfortable. However, he didn't know how to comfort him, so he simply didn't say anything. Daoist Xiao, this place is already abandoned. Let's go to the Flying Rainbow Palace. Emolienchi looked around and suggested. Xiao Hua shook his head and replied, No need. This place was personally set up by Senior Lan. I'd better settle the matter that she's worried about here. All right. Emolienchi didn't delay and replied. He turned his head and asked, Elder Chong, I'm sure that by now, you already understand the mission this sect master gave you when you assumed the position of elder that day, right? The white-robed scholar Chong Min said very respectfully. This subordinate knows his mistake. This subordinate apologizes to the sect master. This subordinate doubted the sect master that day because this subordinate didn't understand the secret behind it. AI, Chong Min do you think this sect master likes to take on this position? Emolienchi sighed. Since this sect master took over the incense cult, I have to rack my brains every day. How is that the life this sect master wants? Cough cough. Xiao Hua couldn't help but cough. Looking at this scholar with a bitter expression, he really felt distressed. Wasn't he also forced a duck onto a perch? He had already done something beyond his ability. Unfortunately, Emolienchi misunderstood Xiao Hua. He thought that Xiao Hua was reminding him not to waste time, so he hurriedly said to Chong Min, Are the 30,000 male and female disciples you sent to the forbidden area safe and sound? Yes. Chong Min bowed. This subordinate has followed the sect master's instructions and secretly recruited 15,000 male and 15,000 female disciples from all over the ruins. All of them had excellent aptitudes and were sent to the forbidden area of our fragrant cult, where they were taught the basic cultivation methods of our sect. Good. Emolienchi nodded, then looked at the middle-aged cultivator with a yellow face and asked, What about Elder Wu's task? Chapter 4156. Reporting to Sect Master. Wu Hong also bowed and said respectfully, Although this subordinate doesn't know why Sect Master needs all kinds of pills, spirit herbs, and other things, this subordinate has been working hard on this matter after receiving the mission. Although the amount of pills and spirit herbs hasn't reached Sect Master's requirements, it's not far off. Good. Emolienchi smiled and said, We have our own arrangements, and the seniors have their own arrangements. It doesn't matter if it's a little short. Hiss. Hearing this, Wu Hong's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly thought of a problem. After all, each generation of the fragrant religion's sect master had to prepare 30,000 disciples. Each generation of disciples was different. But what about medicinal pills and spirit grasses? Those could be stored. After so many years, how many pills and spirit herbs had sect master accumulated? What about those qi refining materials, magic weapons, and other things? Thinking of this, Wu Hong couldn't help but look at Xiao Hua. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua's expression didn't change. It was unknown if he didn't think of this, or if he wasn't moved by this amount at all. Finally, Mo Lianqi looked at the burly man, Bai Jianzhong. Without waiting for him to speak, Bai Jianzhong called out, "Sect Master, this subordinate has reported to Sect Master every year about what you told this subordinate to do. I've already dealt with it properly. Whatever cultivation methods, secret techniques, alchemy techniques, refining techniques, and so on, as long as the subordinate can find it, regardless of the sect, I've left it in the forbidden area." And Mo Lianqi didn't say anything more. She responded and ordered, "You all go to the forbidden area together. Once this sect master and Taoist shall discuss some things, we'll go now." This subordinate obeys. The three bowed and left at the same time. After the three left, Mo Lianqi looked at the calm Xiao Hua and said solemnly, "Taoist Xiao, I will hand over my sect master's descendants to you. The life and death of these disciples, as well as the pills, cultivation methods, and so on, will be handed over to you. As long as sect master can survive, I will thank you on behalf of all the seniors of sect master." After she finished saying those words, Mo Lianqi actually bowed respectfully. She appeared to be very serious. How could Xiao Hua not know the meaning behind Mo Lianqi's words? He didn't immediately help Mo Lianqi up. Instead, he accepted the bow and said, "Sect Master Mo, please don't worry. Whatever this Xiao takes from the sect master today, I will hand it over to the future disciples of the incense cult. Even if it's a cultivation technique or a spirit herb, this Xiao will not stain it." "Many thanks." Mo Lianqi's eyes were filled with gratitude as she continued, "However, my fragrant sect has been accumulating for who knows how many years. There are a lot of spirit herbs and pills inside. If Taoist needs them, feel free to use them. Just give them what they need." "Haha, rest assured, sect leader Mo," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "Although this Xiao likes to take advantage of others, when it comes to matters concerning the life and death of a sect, or even things entrusted to me by others, I will always be cautious. Moreover, to be honest with sect chief, although our Fortune Gates Foundation can't compare to the fragrant cults, it's not that far off." Speaking of this, Xiao Hua added, "In fact, the most important thing is that this Xiao is the same as sect master Mo. We both don't like to be sect master. We both like to be free cultivators." Haha. Mo Lianqi laughed and clapped. People who like freedom can't be that bad. This one is relieved that Ancestor Lan has chosen Taoist. At the very least, Taoist can throw my fragrant cult's 30,000 disciples together and give them cultivation techniques, pills, and other things, and let them fend for themselves. You definitely won't have any evil thoughts and stain these things. Xiao Hua rolled his eyes at Mo Lianqi, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Sect Master Mo, could it be that you're keeping this Xiao here to test this Xiao's tolerance?" "Oh." Mo Lianqi stopped smiling and said solemnly, "I naturally didn't keep Taoist Xiao here for this matter. It's because of the devil race's siege on the ruins." Xiao Hua nodded. "Please speak, Sect Master Mo. Is there any other secret this Xiao doesn't know?" Mo Lianqi pondered for a moment and said, "The war between the ruins and the devil race has lasted for hundreds of years. The resources of the ruins have been greatly consumed, and the war situation has always been disadvantageous to the ruins. Previously, this one still had a trace of luck, feeling that evil won't prevail over good, and that our human race will definitely win in the end. However, Taoist Zhao's arrival and the divination technique of my fragrant cult's ancestor completely extinguished this trace of luck. Actually, this one has always had a few doubts about this war." "Sect Master Mo, please speak," Xiao Hua asked with interest. "First, the reason why the devil race is besieging our ruins." Mo Lianqi explained, "There have been many discussions in the discussion hall, such as blood food, souls, and so on. However, until today, there hasn't been a clear conclusion. Xiaohua interrupted. This one feels that the devil race might be searching for something in the ruins. Searching for what? What does our ruins have that's worth the devil race making such a big fuss over? My fragrant cult has been in the ruins for who knows how many years, and never knew that there's something in the ruins that other places don't have. Xiaohua was at a loss for words. Of course, the secrets of the Shendao sect were not suitable for him to speak of. Moreover, he didn't have any evidence. Second, why did the devil race encircle our ruins so tightly? Even the transmission channels in the void are completely cut off. Mo Lianqi said through gritted teeth, if you say that there are no cultivators in our ruins to provide support, this one won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Xiaohua couldn't answer this question, but this question had been raised by the Shendao sect's Yunche before, so Xiaohua had some ideas in his heart. However, before Xiaohua could speak, Mo Lianqi continued, this one didn't find any clues before, but since Zhang Jing of the Hong Hall and Fei Cheng of the Jing Feishan sect came to find trouble with the Fortune Gate at such a crucial time, then I think they must be hiding something. Is there a third one? Xiaohua asked with interest. Mo Lianqi smiled. In the past, there was a third one, but now there's no third one. Why? Xiaohua asked curiously. Previously, I was wondering how the Devil Emperor of the Devil Clan could avoid my guardian formation of the ruins and enter the ruins so easily. However, since you've already seen the Devil formation and can enter and leave the guardian formation freely, my question is no longer a problem. Xiaohua smiled and said, actually, this Xiao feels that Sect Master Mo's second question shouldn't exist either. Oh! Mo Lianqi was stunned for a moment before a strange light flashed through her eyes. She clapped her hands and said, Taoist Master is right. If that demonic formation has a demonic spirit, then I'm sure it will be able to detect the teleportation channel in the void after inspecting the guardian formation of the ruins. I didn't think that the Mayfly race's devilish sovereign would possess such an ability, but with the devilish formation's devilish spirit, he should be able to do so. However, Mo Lianqi changed the topic. Even so, Zhang Jing of Yanhong Palace and Fei Cheng of Jing Feishan made such a move at this critical moment. He deserves to die. Haha, this is what sect leader Mo wants to do. This Xiao is only responsible for escaping from the ruins. Xiaohua replied with a smile. This Xiao doesn't care about anything else. Hee, that's right. Mo Lianqi saw that she couldn't get anything from Xiaohua and chuckled. Taoist Master, please come with this one. 30,000 people are indeed a lot, and my incense cult doesn't have a spatial divine artifact to hold them for now. I heard that Taoist Master Xiao has a fake Kunlun mirror that should be able to hold 30,000 disciples, right? Since Senior Lan has already calculated it, sect leader Mo doesn't need to worry, right? Xiaohua replied with a smile that wasn't a smile. Half a day later, Xiaohua bid farewell to Mo Lianqi in the air above the Seven Ridge Mountains. In order not to attract the attention of others, Chang Min, Wu Hong, and Bai Zheng didn't send him off. Xiaohua only spoke a few words to Mo Lianqi before flying away. It looked like a simple visit. However, after flying for a while, Xiaohua's escape light slowed down again. He frowned slightly and thought to himself, Mo Lianqi is right. This Xiao has feelings for Yu Mingxin, but since the ruins are about to be destroyed, why don't this Xiao take her away? Anyway, bringing 30,000 disciples is the same as bringing her along. It doesn't make much difference. Moreover, if I bring Yu Mingxin, this incense cult will have a leader who has seen the dangers of the world. She will be useful for the future development of the incense cult. Although the 30,000 disciples in the Forbidden Grounds have the embryonic form of the incense cult, these disciples have grown up in the Forbidden Grounds and have never come out to train. They might lose themselves in the hidden immortal continent. Chapter 41-57. Mercy. Taoist Xiao Mercy. We just came to take a look. We don't have any other intentions. Seeing that they couldn't escape, all of them turned around and begged for mercy with ashen faces. Xiaohua looked at them coldly and asked, What do you mean by other intentions? I. The cultivators stammered, not daring to answer. Speak. Xiaohua snapped, if you don't speak, this old man will kill all of you right now. Yes, yes. The cultivator at the front was very clever and hurriedly answered. Junior and the others heard that Senior Xiao has the devil race's cultivation method, and is a devil race's spy. What Taoist Xiao said earlier about the devil emperor leading the devil race to exterminate the 10 sects in the southwest border was just a pretense to lure the cultivators from the ruins to help and exterminate them. In fact, the truth of this matter is, Taoist Xiao is the devil emperor. Senior and some devil monarchs put on a good show to deceive the White Cloud Monastery and other sects in the southwest border. First you let the devil monarchs lead the devil race to besiege them, and then you easily rescue those sections. Then you replace the 8 sects intact protective formation with a flawed formation, and even took the opportunity to take a lot of benefits from the White Cloud Monastery and other sects. Xiao Hua was originally angry, but when he heard this, a smile appeared on his face. Unfortunately, his smile in the eyes of everyone was tantamount to an order to kill. That cultivator was so scared that he didn't dare to say anything. What else? Xiao Hua stopped smiling and said coldly, if you want to live, tell this old man everything. Also because the snow-chopping sect in the Eternal Peace Mountain didn't listen to the Fortune Gate's arrangements and replaced the protective formation, they were exterminated by the Fortune Gate. Not a single disciple survived. After that cultivator finished, he trembled and said, Junior and the others just came to watch the show. We don't have any other intentions. You want to take advantage of the situation, don't you? Xiao Hua asked coldly. Yes. Seeing that he was forced into a dead end, the cultivator simply nodded and admitted. Junior knows that there are only a few 100,000 Fortune Gate disciples, and they have profited a lot from the southwest border, so I wanted to see if I could get lucky. Heh. Xiao Hua chuckled coldly as he looked at the pale-faced cultivators, who looked as if they had just lost their parents. Inwardly, he was filled with disdain. The ruins were the upper world, and the cultivators here were much more talented than those in the 3 continents. However, when it came to temperament, they weren't that strong. The so-called human nature, be it immortals, mortals, or the great desolate realm, as long as one was a human, they were all the same. Moreover, judging from the current situation, although the Fortune Gate's disciples had made a name for themselves in the southwest border, and Taoist Zhao's name was like the sun at midday, this kind of charitable act had also become a thorn in the eyes of certain sects and cultivators, affecting the benefits of certain forces. His Fortune Gate had no foundation in the ruins, and this kind of conflict would erupt sooner or later. Him revealing the demon race's cultivation method was just a trigger. In fact, those forces might have seen the devil spirit Xiao Hua's devil cultivation method long ago, but they didn't have the chance. Now that they saw him injured by the devil emperor, they decided to launch an attack together. At this point this Xiao feels that Yun Che and Mo Lianqi's thoughts are not without reason. Xiao Hua sighed in his heart, if it wasn't the demon race's spy, then it must be a short-sighted person who only cares about what's in front of him. Otherwise, why would he cut off his own arm? Oh, of course, maybe this Zhao's Fortune Gate several 100,000 disciples can't see those people in their eyes, and they don't care about this. If that's the case, that's the best. Xiao Hua was secretly delighted. This ruins is a mess. The demon race used the devil spirit's devil formation to besiege us, and then there's the great desolate starstorm that destroyed the star field. This Xiao doesn't even know how to escape. Who cares about the life and death of the ruins? Forget it, let's stop. Sometimes, it's not easy to be a good person. Xiao Hua's expression changed several times, and the group of cultivators didn't dare to speak. In the end, Xiao Hua ordered, take this old man to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Senior. The group of cultivators begged again. Junior was just momentarily blinded by greed. Shut up, are you going or not? Xiao Hua said decisively, if you don't go, this old man will kill all of you right now. Yes. How could the group of cultivators dare to say anything else? They urged their magic power to rush towards the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range, and along the way, every cultivator who saw Xiao Hua scattered, not daring to fly forward. Seeing more and more cultivators, Xiao Hua's mood became colder and colder. However, when he saw the situation near the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range with his divine sense, the anger that he had been holding back burned again. The sky several thousand li around the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range was filled with cultivators. Half of these cultivators were dressed neatly, and they were divided into 8 teams that surrounded the mountain range. In the gaps between the 8 teams, the other half of cultivators were filling in. These cultivators were either in groups of 3 or 5, or in groups of 5 or 6. Although they weren't as strict as the 8 teams, they seemed to have their own division of labor. His heart finally relaxed, and he waved his hand to let his disciples rest, while he led Sun Jian and several of his clones to the bamboo forest at the back of the mountain. General Sun, Xiaohua asked, what's the situation of the Snow/Gates battle? Reporting to Dao Master. Sun Jian bowed and said, the Snow/Gate situation is different from the White Cloud Monastery. Without waiting for Sun Jian to finish, Xiaohua raised his hand and said, this old man doesn't want to know the details of the Snow/Gate situation. This old man only wants to know the result, and the casualties of my fortune gate. Sun Jian understood Xiaohua's mood, and said after pondering for a moment, not a single Snow/Gates disciple survived. The Snow/Gates orthodoxy and everything were taken by my fortune gates disciples into their spatial rings. My fortune gates disciples lost 3,000 in this battle. Why are there so many? Xiaohua frowned and said in displeasure. Sun Jian hurriedly bowed. This subordinate is incompetent. There's no need to blame General Sun. Scholarly cultivator Xiaohua said with a smile. The Snow/Gate is several times bigger than the Eternal Peace Mountain, and they are also very strange. Moreover, the devil race that controls the Snow/Gate is not only the zombie race, but also a kind of devil race that is covered in devil armor. Their skin is very tough and their flesh is very hard to kill. Moreover, these 3,000 disciples who died had just come out from the Kunlun Mirror, and didn't go through too many bloody battles. General Sun, please stand up. Xiaohua's expression became slightly better as he helped Sun Jian up and said, this old man is not blaming General. This old man just feels that the grand meeting hall is too much. Hee hee. Sun Jian stood up and laughed. This Sun had already thought of this ending when I took over the 2 lightning boats. With such a strong appearance, it will definitely affect the distribution of forces in the ruins. Some people in the Grand Meeting Hall are using Master Zhao's cultivation techniques to talk about things, and sending out low-level disciples to scout the area. It's nothing. If this Sun enters the Grand Meeting Hall again, then that will be the start of the real battle between dragons and tigers. TSA. Who would want a seat in the Grand Meeting Hall? Xiaohua sneered. If it weren't for the fact that the devil race in the ruins is really abominable, and we need to escape from the ruins, who would care about the ruins business? Chapter 4158. So, Sun Jian persuaded, since Master Zhao's intention is to save people, he doesn't care about fame or power. Just let them do as they please? Why make things difficult for these low-level disciples? Moreover, with them guarding the soaring Dragon Mountain range, it saves my fortune gate the trouble of sending out disciples. Don't care about this. Xiaohua ordered. Pass down the order. In 2 hours, my fortune gate's disciples will enter the lightning boat. We will leave the soaring Dragon Mountain range. We can't leave a single hair to them. We can leave? Sun Jian's eyes lit up as he asked in pleasant surprise. How could it be so simple? Xiaohua shook his head. This old man doesn't like these lackeys in the hall of discussion. Since they are willing to follow, then let them follow. This old man also wants to take this opportunity to explore the ruins. This subordinate feels that it's better to stay still than to take action. Sun Jian still wanted to say something, but Xiaohua smiled and said, actually, there are some reasons that this old man cannot tell you for the time being. Just do as I say. All right. Sun Jian helplessly bowed and flew away. Fellow Taoists. Xiaohua looked at his several avatars and said, you all have worked hard. We dare not. Dragon Vein Xiaohua and the others cupped their hands and answered. Come back and cultivate first. Xiaohua pondered for a moment and said, also, help this old man sort out the cultivation techniques and see what they are used for. Xiaohua divided the fragrance religion's inheritance into several parts and gave them to his avatars. Dragon Vein Xiaohua and the others took the spatial rings and entered Xiaohua's body. Phoenix Physique Xiaohua entered Xiaohua's body, and immediately used a secret technique to repair his body. Confucian Xiaohua entered Xiaohua's body and circulated his true qi to extinguish the devil flames. As for devil spirit Xueqi, he opened his mouth and swallowed the devil flames and devil qi that were difficult to extinguish into his abdomen to temper himself. Each avatar performed their own duties, leaving only Buddha Subhuti standing there. He did not return to his Niwen palace. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Buddha Subhuti chanted and put his palms together. Did Tan Yu leave the soaring Dragon Mountain range for the countless wandering souls in the ruins? What do you think? Xueqi asked with a faint smile. This penniless monk has already tried it in the snow/gate. This penniless monk's Buddhist mantra is unable to send those pitiful wandering souls into the cycle of reincarnation. This must be because the demonic array has sealed the gate of life and death that leads to the Yellow Springs. They want to use these wandering souls to refine demonic artifacts. Buddha Bodhi replied, if Tan Yu has the heart, he can collect these wandering souls. On one hand, he can gather merit, and on the other hand, he can take drastic measures to deal with the devil race. That's right. Xueqi nodded. I left the soaring Dragon Mountain range because of this. Now that the ruins are filled with wandering souls, sooner or later, they will bring a disaster to the ruins. Why don't we take advantage of them now? Of course I could have gone by myself. The reason why I dragged the Fortune Gate's disciples and the other fellow Taoists along was because the Grand Meeting Hall's attention was focused on the soaring Dragon Mountain range. This would be disadvantageous to fellow Taoist Green Robe who was constructing the transmission array. This teleportation formation is the key to leaving the ruins. We can't be careless. Can't Tan Yu rely on the soul cultivator's technique to teleport? Buddha Bodhi was a little perplexed. Why is there a need to build a teleportation array? This fellow Taoist doesn't understand. Xueqi smiled and said, the ruins is the upper realm, and the great snow mountain of the hidden immortal mainland is the lower realm. Previously, we were lucky enough to detect the great snow mountain's spiritual sense mark in the time fragment of the heavenly prison. Now, it's even more difficult to cross realms to find the spiritual sense mark. If there wasn't a transmission array, I wouldn't dare to believe it. But, even if there is a transmission array, it's not possible to construct a transmission array that crosses two realms, right? Buddha Bodhi shook his head and said, otherwise, wouldn't the three continents be filled with immortal worlds cultivators and long-used dragon clan? AI. Xueqi smiled bitterly. How could I not know about this? However, since the transmission array from the heavenly prison to the Great Snow Mountain passes through the ruins, then when we leave the ruins and return to the Great Snow Mountain, don't we also need to use the transmission array? As long as we can find the spiritual sense mark of the Great Snow Mountain, I have confidence that I can return to the Great Snow Mountain. At this point, Xueqi smiled again and said, the ruins is the upper realm, and even the devil race has the ability to seal the gate of life and death. The transmission array that we construct may not be unable to directly connect the three continents, right? That's impossible. Buddha Bodhi didn't feel that Xueqi's thinking was correct, and explained, if Tan Yu can construct a transmission array from the ruins to the three continents, then wouldn't Tan Yu be able to use this transmission array to travel between the three continents and the ruins as he pleases? This is the upper realm, and although the cultivation method is different, the heaven and earth origin energy here is much denser than the three continents. Cultivating here, not to mention Tan Yu, even Fortune Gate's disciples are ordinary cultivators. And that so-called Great Desolate Starstorm, how could it destroy the ruins? Xueqi sighed. What Buddha Bodhi could think of, he could naturally think of as well. Every word that Buddha Bodhi said was true. The ruins might be an existence that surpassed the immortal world, so how could he rely on a transmission array to travel between two realms? These two realms were different from the Moon God realm and Tai Bai Star realm. They might be the two realms of the mortal world and the immortal world. At this time, Xueqi could only reply, what a mortal friend said is true. But now that we are facing the siege of the devil race, facing the great desolate starstorm, other than constructing a transmission array to escape, what other methods do we have? No. Buddha Bodhi was straightforward. This poor monk is just saying, whether to do it or not is up to Tan Yu. This poor monk will take his leave. After saying that, Buddha Bodhi flew into his Niwen palace. Damn it, since you are just saying, then don't say any more. Xueqi scolded in annoyance. This Zhao's originally unhappy mood is even worse now. Then, Xueqi summoned the green robe Xueqi over, and after a few words of discussion, He made a copy of the incense cult's method of constructing the transmission array for him, and then had the green-robed Xiao Hua speed up the construction. Only then did he let the green-robed Xiao Hua return to the Great Formation. After doing all this, Xiao Hua flew into the air, waved his hand, and put away the formation. Then, he waved his sleeves, and several sword lights fell on the mountain peak. Rumble. With a loud bang, the entire mountain peak was destroyed by Xiao Hua, and the layers of green bamboo and the previous memories disappeared. Xiao Hua looked at the battle teams around him, and completely ignored them, and flew to the two thunderboats that were ready to set off. Xiao Hua landed on the lightning boat. His divine sense swept over the soaring Dragon Mountain range, and he saw that the palaces and cultivation caves that had been built earlier were all destroyed by the Fortune Gate's disciples. They had really done as Xiao Hua had said, not leaving a single hair behind. Xiao Hua was very satisfied, and asked loudly, "General Sun, is everything ready?" Reporting to the Reverend, "Everything is ready." Sun Jian bowed and answered, "All right." Xiao Hua nodded. Just as he was about to give the order, his divine perception suddenly swept over and he actually saw several disciples dressed in White Cloud Monastery's Taoist robes. Xiao Hua's expression froze, and he said with some surprise, "General Sun, why are the disciples of White Cloud Monastery also here?" "Reverend." Sun Jian's expression did not change as he answered, "Not only the White Cloud Monastery's disciples, other than the Eternal Peace Mountain and Snow Chopper Gate, all the other sect's disciples have come. There are even 2 sects that have begun to dismantle their sect's defensive formations. Also, a portion of the Fortune Gate's disciples that were sent by the Grand Meeting Hall to assist our Fortune Gate are staying here to monitor our Fortune Gate's disciples' movements." And Xiao Hua nodded coldly, and said, "The help of self-sacrifice is far from comparable to bewitchment. My sons, follow this old man and kill. Kill." Hearing Xiao Hua's order, Sun Jian was stunned. Xiao Hua had never issued orders to the Fortune Gate's disciples. This was the first time. However, hearing Xiao Hua's order, Sun Jian was alarmed. He understood that there were some people with ulterior motives in the Grand Meeting Hall who had sent low-level disciples to surround the Fortune Gate's disciples. They wanted to see the scene of the Fortune Gate's disciples killing indiscriminately. As long as the Fortune Gate's disciples saw blood, all their previous efforts would be wasted. "Teacher Xiao." Sun Jian hastily sent a voice transmission to Xiao Hua, wanting to stop him. However, as soon as he spoke, he immediately shut his mouth, because Xiao Hua's cultivation level was becoming increasingly unfathomable. In the blink of an eye, 2 thick bolts of lightning appeared on the 2 thunderboats. As Xiao Hua pushed with both hands, the bolts of lightning exploded like a mountain torrent, majestically rushing towards one direction. "My sons, block." The lightning bolts were heading towards a group of people who were besieged. The leader of the group was already trembling with fear when he saw the unparalleled momentum of the lightning bolts. However, he did not dare to dodge and could only brace himself to issue orders. The tens of thousands of cultivators activated their magic treasures in an attempt to block the lightning bolts. Rumble. Amidst a series of rumbling sounds, all the cultivators' magic treasures were destroyed by the lightning bolts. The cultivators were also injured by the lightning bolts. Their bodies fell to the ground, and the entire group collapsed in an instant. Wang Wang. At the same time as the group collapsed, the 2 lightning boats emitted rumbling sounds. The lightning boats' huge shadows carried a shocking momentum as they slowly rolled over the tens of thousands of cultivators' heads. Flashing lightning bolts, the lightning boat's speed became faster and faster. Quickly report to the Grand Meeting Hall. The Fortune Gate's disciples have finally made their move." Amidst the chaotic voices, some of the commanders anxiously ordered, while some of the other commanders stared blankly in the direction of the 2 lightning boats, bewildered. Why are the Fortune Gate's disciples returning to the Snow Chopping Gate? Didn't they just return from the Snow Chopping Gate? However, doubts were just doubts. None of the commanders dared to be negligent. While reporting to the Grand Meeting Hall, they reorganized their teams and released their flying boats, following behind the Fortune Gate's disciples. After flying for several days, Huang Li and the other cultivators were surprised again. They were well aware of the lightning boat's speed, but at this time, the lightning boats were neither fast nor slow, as if they were waiting for them to catch up. Even after arriving at the Snow Chopping Gate, The lightning boats did not stop at all. They turned around and flew in the direction of the Water Cloud sect. The Water Cloud sect's disciples were naturally scared out of their wits when they saw this. Because the Water Cloud sect was one of the sects that had dismantled the capital star formation, they thought that the Fortune Gate's disciples were going to bring bad luck to the Water Cloud sect. But what was equally strange was that the Fortune Gate's disciples only circled the Water Cloud sect a few times. Just like the Snow Chopping Gate, they did not pay attention to the Water Cloud sect's disciples' vigilance at all and calmly flew to other sections. Chapter 4159. After spending several months circling the southwest border of the ruins, the two lightning boats once again headed north, heading towards the northwest. This time, the cultivators in the meeting hall and the disciples following them were completely dumbfounded. Wasn't this the rhythm of a sightseeing tour? Weren't there supposed to be attacks and spies? Where did all of that go? Of course, in these few months, the Devil Race did not give up on attacking the ruins. The all-pervasive Devil Formation could still find loopholes in the Great Barrier Formation, sending Devil Kings and Devil Monarchs into the ruins through the Devil Chi passageway. However, facing the Devil Race army, the Fortune Gate disciples no longer charged forward like before. Instead, they feinted and lured the Devil army over, borrowing the lightning boats' power to escape early. In the eyes of the Devil Race, the lightning boats had already become a banner. Many Devil Race experts who had suffered greatly at the hands of the Fortune Gate had already spread the lightning boats' power. When the Devil Race saw that the lightning boats had been defeated without a fight, they rejoiced. Naturally, they would not chase after the lightning boats. Thus, they grabbed the various forces following the Fortune Gate disciples and killed them. Most of these forces were low-level disciples. How could they be a match for the Devil Race? Each of them cried for their parents as they fled on their magic tools and flying boats, not bothering to find trouble with the Fortune Gate disciples. Thus, after a few times like this, other than a few cultivators who had received strict orders from the meeting hall to follow the lightning boats from afar, there were no more large groups of disciples following the lightning boats. Unfortunately, these cultivators only stayed for a little over 10 days before they were defeated. This was because the lightning boats no longer looked like they were going on a sightseeing tour. They sped up, shuttling through the ruins like lightning. This time, these cultivators were even more dumbfounded. They really did not understand what the Fortune Gate disciples were doing. Were they exploring the ruins' terrain? Were they exploring the ruins' secrets? Or were they looking for something? In short, relying on their flying techniques and flying boats, they could not catch up with the lightning boats. They could only give up on following closely and change their strategy, using the ruins' transmission arrays to follow the lightning boats. Fortunately, the lightning boats did not deliberately hide their tracks. Relying on their understanding of the ruins, these cultivators could always see the lightning boats leaving after exiting some transmission arrays. This went on for over 10 years. Not to mention the cultivators who were tailing them. Even the conference hall was puzzled. The thunderboat was like a comb, combing through the entire ruins at an extremely fast speed. Although there were many places that the thunderboat had not been to, the thunderboat had passed by most of them. Moreover, as the lightning boat sped up, the number of Fortune Gate disciples gradually decreased. At some point, the two lightning boats had merged into one, and only a few hundred disciples remained on the lightning boat. Over the past decade or so, the battle between the demon race and the human race was also in a stalemate. Apart from the various small-scale battles, the previous action of wanting to exterminate a sect at the slightest provocation was almost non-existent. Even the 20 demon emperors that had appeared frequently previously would occasionally appear. They would kill a few Dao transformation cultivators before disappearing again. This was a rare scene. Thus, the conference hall of the ruins began to confirm one thing, and that was, the number of demon emperors besieging the ruins was not as many as they had imagined. The 20 demon emperors were just a cover. The real number was probably 3, or perhaps 5, and definitely not more. Because after Xiao Hua came to the ruins, Daoist Xiao and his fellow disciples had fought a total of 3 demon emperors after coming to the ruins. At the same time, they had also injured 3 demon emperors. These 10 years were the time for the 3 demon emperors to recover from their injuries. Since they knew that there were only 3 demon emperors besieging the ruins, the conference hall's ambition gradually rose, and they began to plan for a counterattack. Waves of battles were stirred up one after another outside the realm-protecting Grand Formation. Unfortunately, things did not always go according to people's wishes. The conference hall wanted to tear a hole in the Devil Array. But the Devil Array was strange. The demon emperors were also guarding the Devil Array. Although they could not really fight, they could still block the conference hall's attacks with the help of the Devil Array, causing the conference hall's battle to be fruitless. While the conference hall was helpless, some cultivators thought of Xueqi. However, while the conference hall was sure of one thing, they were also confused about another. What was Xueqi doing in the ruins with the Fortune Gate's disciples? Perhaps the Shendao Sect's Xueqi had some understanding in his heart, but at this time, he no longer dared to mention the agreement between him and Xueqi, and even more so, he did not dare to mention the Shendao Sect's purpose in coming to the ruins. Of course, Xueqi did not have any hope for Xueqi's fleeting search. The Shendao Sect had been in the ruins for who knew how many years, but they had not found it. So how could Xueqi find it so easily? Time passed by as the lightning boat shuttled back and forth. Everything was so peaceful that it made people forget that the devil race was besieging the ruins. One day, the lightning boat flew over a mountain range and suddenly stopped. Xueqi flew out of the lightning boat and activated the Kunlun mirror in his hand, putting the lightning boat into his space. He then sat cross-legged on the mountain peak. Only then did the group of cultivators realize that this mountain peak was the so-called Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Xueqi's starting point began and ended here. In the beginning, Xueqi had brought over 100,000 Fortune Gates disciples, and when it ended, Xueqi had put all of them into his Space Divine tool. Only now did some cultivators realize that Xueqi was merely a cultivator from the outside world. The battle in the ruins had nothing to do with him, and the Fortune Gates disciples were only Xueqi's own disciples. They would not make any more sacrifices for the ruins. When they realized this, many sensitive cultivators felt a trace of nervousness on the eve of a great battle. After all, Xueqi had stopped his search and put all of his disciples away. To a large extent, it meant that his injuries had healed. Xueqi's injuries had healed, but what about the three Devil Emperors' injuries? The conference hall began to have a headache. In the past 10 years, the conference hall had always been in a state of attack. They had gathered the elites of various sects in the ruins around the Great Barrier Formation. Their plan was that even if they could not force the Devil Race to retreat, they would tear the Great Barrier Formation apart and spread the news of the ruins being besieged. However, until now there had been no results. Seeing that Xueqi's injuries had healed, they knew that they did not have much time left. The three Devil Emperors would definitely counterattack. The ruins was already in a life-and-death situation. As for the news of the great desolate starstorm brought by the Misty School's Yangchong, it was simply concealed by the conference hall. Other than a few people who knew about it, ordinary cultivators did not know about it at all. Of course, this had nothing to do with Xueqi. He sat down cross-legged, and a moment later, the green-robed Xueqi had quietly returned. Fellow Taoist. Seeing the green-robed Xueqi's complacent appearance, Xueqi smiled and asked, "Has the transmission array been built?" "Of course. The green-robed Xueqi took care of it." The green-robed Xueqi replied with a smile, "I comprehended the Tao Sect's transmission array, the Confucian cultivators going south-way north technique, as well as the incense cult's world-crossing teleportation array. Only then did I build this transmission array. I guarantee that as long as fellow Taoist finds the Great Snow Mountain spiritual sense mark and uses it to activate the going south-way north technique, you will definitely be able to build a complete transmission channel and send us back to the Western Paradise. Fellow Taoist, you have worked hard." Xueqi cupped his hands and bowed. Being able to return to the Western Paradise is all thanks to fellow Taoist. "No need to thank me, no need to thank me." The green-robed Xueqi was unable to close his mouth as he said, "Fellow Taoist is I. I am also a fellow Taoist. There is no need to thank me." In addition, did fellow Taoist use the Grand Universe Shifting Token to find the location of the Black Wind Ridge's Great Formation? Xueqi asked again. The green-robed Xueqi shook his head and said, "Although the Grand Universe Shifting Token recorded the location of the Black Wind Ridge's transmission array, this item cannot be used in the ruins. I am unable to use this item to find the location of the Black Wind Ridge. Since that is the case, we will rely on the Soul Cultivator's South Polar North method." Fellow Taoist, Please return to the space to cultivate. Xiaohua released his consciousness and wrapped the green-robed Xiaohua as he said, I obtained a lot of good things from the incense cult. I really want to hand them over to you to handle. The green-robed Xiaohua's eyes lit up as his saliva almost flowed out. He licked his lips and probed, magic treasure? Elixirs? Cultivation technique? Crystals? The 3 fingers that he stretched out were still slightly rubbing together, making him look exactly like a miser. That's right. Xiaohua smiled and said, Didn't I give fellow Taoists some cultivation techniques to comprehend previously? There are still quite a few cultivation techniques together with them. In addition, the founder of the incense cult also left behind some good things for I. Previously, I also gave you a little bit of this cultivation technique, but in order to not disturb you from setting up the formation, I didn't give you all of it. Now you can properly comprehend it. Good. The green-robed Xiaohua laughed heartily. His figure followed Xiaohua's consciousness into the space. After seeing the green-robed Xiaohua, the latter's comprehension had already been transmitted to Xiaohua's mind. The cultivation technique of the founder of the incense cult, Lan Xichen, was very strange to the cultivators of the ruins, but to Xiaohua, it was very familiar. It was really, as Lan Xichen said, a kind of pleasant surprise. This cultivation technique was the cultivation technique of the immortals of the immortal world. The content was extensive and profound, far more vast than the cultivation techniques of the Dawn Rain continent that Xiaohua had seen. What made Xiaohua especially shocked was that this cultivation technique actually also had the Crimson Infant technique, and the content was even more than the Crimson Infant technique. Thus, Xiaohua couldn't help but suspect Dou Shanjun's identity. The cultivation technique of the immortal world naturally required immortal qi. This was unimaginable in the 3 continents, but it was easy in the ruins. Of course, Xiaohua's current cultivation hadn't reached that level yet, so he could only let his numerous doppelgangers find the cultivation technique that they could cultivate and comprehend it first. Even if Xiaohua had 10 doppelgangers and each of them could find the cultivation technique that they needed to comprehend, the cultivation technique that Xiaohua could understand was only a drop in the ocean compared to the cultivation system of the immortal world. There were indeed many more secret techniques that made Xiaohua envious. Xiaohua didn't dare to be greedy and only allowed his doppelgangers to cultivate the part that they could understand. He couldn't even take a look at the rest of the cultivation technique. Xiaohua sat cross-legged on the mountain peak, his cold eyes sweeping across several Dao cultivators in the distance. Then, he formed a seal with both hands. Layers of light and shadow emerged from the seal, wrapping Xiaohua himself. Then, countless heaven and earth origin qi rushed in from all directions within several thousand li rainbow-colored pearls condensed on the mountain peak. In the air, it was only a moment. Not to mention the naked eye couldn't see Xiaohua. Even the divine sense of the group of cultivators couldn't pass through the illusion and hurricane. Chapter 4160. Moreover, the illusions and rings of light were very strange. As long as a cultivator's divine sense fell into it, they would see countless small worlds. And in these small worlds, there were mortals who looked exactly like cultivators. They would give birth to many stories in these small worlds. These stories deeply attracted the cultivators whose divine sense fell into it, almost making them lose themselves in it. After waking up, many cultivators' faces changed greatly, and they hurriedly fled, not daring to look around again. Following Xiaohua's spell, a huge palm gradually appeared in mid-air. This karmic hand was black and white, and dazzling rings of light constantly appeared from the finger, then fell into the air. These rings of light rapidly spread in the air, and at the same time, scattered into the void. Waves of obscure fluctuations distorted the image of the entire mountain peak. The cultivators watching from afar were extremely puzzled, not knowing what Xiaohua was doing. However, at this time, they didn't have time to think too much, because in addition to the strange rings of light that Xiaohua's karmic hand was emitting day and night above the soaring Dragon Mountain range, at this time, the sky above the ruins was once again emitting thunderous sounds. The original brilliance of the sun and moon was now gradually disappearing, and the entire sky began to darken. Then boom, boom, boom. Huge roars began to endlessly reverberate. From the horizon, demonic pillars fell from the sky like huge nails, nailing down from the dark sky. Each demonic pillar was filled with billowing demonic qi and streams of blood, and ferocious devils roared in the demonic pillars. Moreover, as soon as the demonic pillars penetrated the air, there were devils with wings, whimpering as they flew out from the demonic chi. And when the demonic pillars went deeper, there were devils wearing demonic armors, brandishing demonic weapons, and stepping on demonic beasts rushing out. They didn't put the human race in their eyes at all. One demonic pillar after another fell, gradually covering the entire sky, and surging towards the ground of the ruins. Boom, 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 boom. The demonic pillars fell, but in just a moment, the entire world was shaking. The dark and bloody sky had already begun to shake violently, and patches of fiery red appeared from the clouds, and flames began to burn between the demonic pillars. Within the flames, there were naturally tens of thousands of human cultivators who formed teams and pounced towards the demonic pillars. They either activated their flames to burn the demonic pillars or activated their magic treasures to kill the devils. As a result, the darkness in the sky mixed with the color of blood gradually spread to the entire sky. However, in the darkness, large clusters of flames also covered the sky and covered the earth, contending with the demonic aura. It seemed as if the sky was going to be burned through. Flames and darkness were so clearly separated, yet they were also attacking each other. The entire ruins had truly become a furnace of heaven and earth. Roar, dong dong, as soon as the battle began, the sound of war drums could be heard and war songs could be heard. From the mountains and hills on the ground, groups of human cultivators who were lying in ambush rushed into the sky. These cultivators formed teams with arrays and flying ships. Powerful attacks condensed into beams of light that shot into the demonic pillars, killing the devils that escaped from the demonic pillars. Seeing that these teams all flew out from the demonic pillars, it was clear that the conference hall also had a deep understanding of the flaws of the Great Realm Protection Formation. In order to resist the attacks of the devils, they had put in a lot of effort. However, the power of the demonic spirit of the demonic formation was also not to be underestimated. The demonic pillars were like fireworks that shot into the sky, nailing down continuously. There were truly many demonic pillars. Although the majority of the demonic pillars were blocked by human cultivators, there were still many devils that escaped from the demonic pillars and began to attack from the back of the human teams. Moreover, these demonic pillars also became thicker and expanded in the sky, gradually invading the ruins. Towards these demonic pillars that penetrated deep into the ruins, the flames of the Great Realm Protection Formation began to automatically burn them. The human cultivators who were guarding in the distance also hurriedly flew over to kill them. Coincidentally, the mountain peak that Xueqi was sitting on was also a flaw of the Great Realm Protection Formation. As the demonic formation spread out, a demonic pillar that was several li thick fell with a boom. It was precisely the light shadow of the Hand of Karma that was already more than 1,000 li above Xueqi's head. That demonic pillar had just touched the multicolored light that shot up into the sky from the Hand of Karma, and the arrogant devils inside immediately let out miserable shrieks. They simply didn't have the chance to come out of the demonic aura before they turned into powder. The light shadow of the Hand of Karma was so dazzling in the blood and fire, and so terrifying in the demonic aura. When all the devils saw the unparalleled power, they hurriedly urged their bodies to fly out of the demonic pillars. However, just as they flew out, the multicolored light pierced into their devil bodies like needles. No matter if it was the devils with wings on their backs or the devils wearing armor, or even the devils that appeared like phantoms, they were all torn into pieces. The devils inside the demonic pillars panicked. Each and every one of them used the demonic aura and blood water to go against the flow, wanting to escape back to the demonic formation. However, the power of the demonic pillars wasn't something that the devils could resist. Therefore, each and every one of the devils fell into the Hand of Karma like moths to a flame and were annihilated. The demonic pillars crossed the soaring Dragon Mountain range and had already spread into the depths of the ruins. The burning clouds were also ignited around the demonic pillars. A great battle suddenly broke out, and a gale began to blow in the ruins. The heaven and earth vital energy in the ruins poured into the Great Realm Protection Formation from the bottom. Following the flames that filled the sky in countless brilliance, the heaven and earth vital energy in the entire ruins was completely stirred up. Hurricanes began to form, blowing across the ground like flying sand and stones. In the sky, the void seemed to be burned by the flames. Cryptic fluctuations were emitted from the black and white cracks. Some of these fluctuations fell into the demonic pillars, instantly extinguishing half of the demonic pillars. Sometimes they also fell into the troops of the human cultivators, easily killing hundreds of them. The entire sky and the entire earth were in a fierce battle. Although the great battle had just begun, it was already so intense. No one could imagine how the elites of the ruins would deal with even more devils outside the Great Realm Protection Formation. After all, there were devil monarchs and devil emperors there. Compared to other places, the soaring Dragon Mountain range was much quieter. Within 1,000 li of the karmic hand, there was not a single devil. Not even devil chi and blood could be seen. That halo and fluctuations were still rotating and spreading in an orderly manner. This stalemate that was exchanged with blood and fire lasted for several months. The flames of the Great Realm Protection Formation were no longer pure crimson red. They began to be mixed with wisps of blood and devil chi. Although there were very few wisps of blood, it was already enough to explain everything. During this period, many human cultivators flew to the side of the karmic hand. They seemed to be looking for Xueqi, but in the face of this strange brilliance, no one was able to get close. They had no choice but to return empty-handed. However, on this day, the battle cries did not stop. The halo of the karmic hand began to slowly retract. Xueqi's figure also appeared in the halo as he formed hand seals. At this time, Xueqi was so illusory and so otherworldly. An indescribable aura was emitted from his body. This aura seemed to be able to control heaven and earth. It also seemed to be able to control life and death. It even seemed to be able to sort out karma. All the words in the mortal world were unable to describe this thing that could only exist in the upper realm. When the halo of the karmic hand retracted into Xueqi's body, Xueqi's figure completely solidified. 2 balls of flames flickered in Xueqi's eyes. Xueqi opened his eyes. Xueqi's eyes were shining like stars, but they were also filled with doubts. Xueqi ignored the battle in front of him and muttered again. The ruins is indeed the upper realm. All the laws of the cultivation world do not exist here. The karmic hand seals that could not be used in the hidden immortal continent are not sluggish here. All the karma that can be detected is revealed like a small stream. Although, this Xiao is still unable to clearly see the survival of the ruins, unable to clearly see the outcome of this war between humans and devils, this Xiao can finally see what this Xiao wants to see. It's very strange. Yu Mingxin actually has another opportunity? She doesn't need to go with this Xiao at all? What is this opportunity of hers? Could it be that the devil race is bound to lose in this war? Also, that great desolate starstorm that affected the entire cultivation world is fake? Will the ruins be destroyed in this great desolate starstorm? Of course, if the devil race is defeated, the teleportation channel will naturally be restored, and the cultivators of the ruins can of course go to Tai Bai Star Realm and escape this calamity. Of course Yu Mingxin can escape. But if that's the case, why would the fragrance cult's inheritance be handed over to this Xiao? Also, although this Xiao is unable to see the outcome of this war, this Xiao can still vaguely know that the key to the war is at the southwest border. Could it be that the devil race has long since set up an ambush at the southwest border? This Xiao's fortune gate sweeping through the southwest devil race is precisely to destroy the devil emperor's wishful thinking? But the question is, what is the devil emperor's plan at the southwest border? Could it be that the devil emperor and the Shundao sect are looking for fire and earth magnetism? No, that's impossible. The Shundao sect is built on magnetism at Mount Yong'en. If this Xiao can discover the fire and earth magnetism at the bottom of the cliff, then Yun Che can discover it even more. It's also impossible that the devil race doesn't know. Therefore, the fire and earth magnetism is definitely not what they are looking for. No matter what, the southwest border is definitely the center of the devil emperor's attention. If we want to win this war, we must start from there. Thinking of this, Xueqi's eyes lit up. He looked around with some surprise and frowned. What's going on? It's only been a few breaths, and the devil race has already started a large-scale attack? Hee hee. At this time, the scholar cultivator Xueqi laughed and said, "You're wrong, fellow immortal. The devil race has been attacking the ruins for more than a few months. Fellow immortal, you're just using a karma art. You don't know how long it has been." A few months. Xueqi's eyes narrowed slightly. Chapter 4161. Okay. Green-robed Xiao Hua rushed into his lower dantian and flew away with his eighth tribulation scattered nascent soul. Sensing the disappearing nascent soul, Xiao Hua sighed and said, "Damn it, I don't only have 1/8 tribulation scattered nascent soul here, there are more than 100 of them. Unfortunately, these scattered nascent souls are spirits and can't fuse with the world's vital energy in the ruins. Although they've passed the lightning tribulation and reached the realm of spirit and flesh, they're still not real spirits and can't come out at will. Especially in the eyes of the devil race, flesh and blood are their delicacies, and spirits are even more so. I won't let them eat raw for nothing. Yeah, if 100 of you can come out, it'll be a great help." "That would be another great help." Dragon Vein Xiao Hua also agreed. Fellow Taoist soul cultivator. Xiao Hua hovered in midair, releasing his spiritual sense to scout for any signs of activity within a 5,000-kilometer radius. "Has there been any movement from the spiritual sense marker we set up on the Great Snow Mountain?" "Okay, I'll let you know." Soul cultivator Xiao Hua answered, "We've been in the ruins for dozens of years, and you've been trapped in the illusion for dozens of years. Then, we've been collecting wandering souls in the ruins for dozens of years. I've been continuously using soul cultivation secret techniques, but unfortunately, the mark of our divine sense doesn't seem to exist, and I can't sense it anymore. Alas, I also divined about this matter just now." Xiao Hua shook his head. "I don't have any clues, and I don't know if we can leave through the teleportation formation. No matter what, we can't just rely on the going south way north technique this time. We must use the teleportation formation." Scholar Xiao Hua suggested. "Dao Sec's teleportation formation is also borrowed from my soul cultivation technique." Soul cultivator Xiao Hua retorted unconvinced. "I think it's enough to rely on the going south way north technique." "Big brothers." Devil spirit Xiao Hua suddenly spoke. "I think what you said is reasonable, but I also have a plan. I don't know if you're willing to listen." "Come here." Xiao Hua was slightly stunned and said, "I think, since Big Brother can transform into a devil race, we might as well sneak into the devil formation and wait for them to retreat to enter the devil world. Big Brother, don't you have the space vein of the devil world and Dawn Rain continent? If it's possible, we'll return to the Dawn Rain continent from that demon-resisting valley?" "That's easy for you to say." Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua berated. "How could it be as easy as you say? The devil race that besieged the ruins seemed to be different from the devil race that we encountered on the Dawn Rain continent. Since the ruins were the upper realm, the devil world that besieged them must also be the upper realm. It must be different from the devil world that we know. In this way, not only will we not be able to find the spatial meridian that leads to the demon-resisting valley, we will be walking right into a trap and be killed by the demon lord or even the demon race that is more powerful than the demon lord." "Fellow immortal, you're wrong." Soul cultivator Xiao Hua retorted. "I think what that brat Mo Ling said is very reasonable. Demons are called demon monarchs and demon emperors, which is the same as what we learned in the Dawn Rain continent. Although we don't know whether this demon realm is the same as that demon realm, it's still possible, right? How would we know if we don't go and take a look? Don't Confucian cultivators emphasize that it's better to travel 10,000 miles than to read 10,000 books? Fellow Taoists, there's no need to say any more." Xiao Hua said with a smile. "This place isn't like the heavenly prison." Inside the heavenly prison, we can directly go to the Great Snow Mountain through the time fragments, but this place is the ruins. I don't have the confidence to pass through the barrier between the two worlds, so we can only rely on the teleportation array. Especially if we rely on the Fragrance Cult's teleportation array that can break through realms. Moreover, the matter of the demon realm is only one possibility. If you and I enter the demon realm, we'll be in the dark. Everywhere we look up and down, there will be devils. Any demon lord that we meet might see through us. It's more dangerous than the burial immortal continent, so let's not talk about this matter." At this point, Xiao Hua was afraid that the two doppelgangers would continue to argue, so he changed the topic and said with a smile, "All right, this time, we've been traveling in the ruins for more than 10 years. It can be said that we've swept away all the wandering souls that have accumulated in the ruins for hundreds of years. These hundreds of millions of wandering souls fell into the space. Not only did the land on the inside of the space expand 100 times, but the space also expanded once again. On the Shanhua continent, other than the original Fortune Gate disciples, there are 10 times more people living here. Moreover, These newborn babies are equally outstanding. With so many disciples, fellow Taoist green-robed's fortune gate won't be able to hold on. Fellow Taoists, are you interested in opening up branches and spreading leaves on the Shenhua continent and passing down your orthodoxy? Haha, fellow Taoists' words really hit the nail on the head. Confucian cultivator Xueqi clapped his hands and said, previously, when fellow Taoist green-robed established the sect, I wanted to get a few disciples to teach, but that guy refused to let me. After that, we cultivated bitterly in the heavenly prison and didn't see any life or death, so I was too lazy to think about it. Now that the fortune gate has taken shape, it's time for me to make a Wen-Tsu manner. I am also interested. Soul cultivator Xueqi also fought with Confucian cultivator Xueqi. Hehe. You all are too late. Dragon Vein Xueqi laughed. I's disciple has already accepted many disciples for I. Now that the ocean in my space has taken shape, my dragon race can reproduce and live in the ocean. While speaking, green-robed Xueqi turned around and roughly explained the situation. Xueqi looked at the increasingly dark flames in the sky, and didn't say anything for a long time. The situation of the battle was not out of Xueqi's expectations. Although the human race still held the advantage in the battle inside the ruins and killed many devils in these few months, this was after all the ruins the foundation of the human race, so they should have the advantage. The battle outside the ruins was not optimistic. Under the siege of the demonic formation, the realm-protecting formation was already in danger. The human cultivators who were fighting against the demonic formation had also suffered heavy casualties. All the sect leaders and elders in the conference hall stayed in the formation to command. However, the ruins were really too big. Even if all the sect masters and elders moved out, they couldn't completely control the grand formation. Who is in charge of the defense in the southwest? After thinking for a moment, Xueqi suddenly asked. Green-robed Xueqi thought for a moment and said, one is Shindao Sect's sect master Yun Che. The other is Misty School's sect master Lu Wuxia. However, both of them are at the edge of the southwest border. Moreover, there aren't many devils in the southwest border, so there aren't many troops stationed there. It's a diversion tactic again. Xueqi sneered. The Devil Emperor is best at using these kinds of tricks. Green-robed Xueqi said anxiously. Should we inform the conference hall? I do want to inform, but the problem is whether the conference hall will believe it. Xueqi said with a bitter smile. We'll just wait here. All right. Green-robed Xueqi nodded and prepared to urge the invisible nascent soul to return to his lower dantian. However, at this moment, he seemed to have thought of something and said, all right, Wu Tian seems to have something to ask you. Go and ask him. Oh, what is it? Xueqi was slightly stunned. Green-robed Xueqi shrugged and replied. How would I know? I asked him, but he didn't tell me at all. Amen, I understand. Xueqi nodded and sent green-robed Xueqi back. Then he brought Wu Tian out of the space. When Wu Tian saw Xueqi, he immediately understood what happened. With a plop, he knelt in front of Xueqi and kowtowed. Master, oh? What's wrong? Xueqi was surprised. He helped Wu Tian up and asked, Disciple, why are you bowing so respectfully for no reason? Forgive disciple for being unworthy. Disciple has something to discuss with Master. Wu Tian stood up with a careful expression and replied in a low voice. Speak. Xueqi really didn't understand what Wu Tian wanted to do. However, after hearing Wu Tian's words, Xueqi was stunned on the spot. It turned out that Wu Tian wanted to stay in the ruins and earnestly asked Xueqi to agree. However, when Xueqi checked Wu Tian's cultivation, he couldn't help but sigh slightly. He already understood why Wu Tian wanted to stay in the ruins. When Wu Tian became Xueqi's disciple, he was already a gold core stage cultivator. In the hidden immortal continent, he could be considered a famous Dao cultivator. However, his basic cultivation method was wrong and he fell into the trap of a Confucian cultivator. Therefore, after he became Xueqi's disciple, he personally taught him a cultivation method. Seeing Xueqi staring at him without uttering a word, Wu Tian felt a little scared in his heart. He hurriedly knelt down and said, Master, Disciple only now understands the reason why Master didn't use cultivation to determine seniority. Disciple's aptitude is far from being comparable to Lu Yi and the other junior brothers. Moreover, Disciple has cultivated wrongly from the beginning. At this time, there is simply no way to turn back. Disciple staying in the ruins is an opportunity for myself and also an opportunity for the Fortune Gate. Disciple is still a branch of the Fortune Gate. Disciple is also willing to help Master spread his branches in the ruins. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.